Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the GDQ HOTFIX. Glad to have you all here. I am Darkman78, and with me here, I have a lot of people. We have our runner here, White Paws. We're going to talk to him a little bit once we get started. But first, I have joined by me Rob the Gamer 115 and Faulty. Fellas, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to have you guys here. So let's kind of explain a little bit about why we're here, what's going on. So this is the 1545 Showcase Relay. So this Showcase Relay gives you a little bit of what to expect from the 1545, which is a really cool event. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. But this Showcase Relay in specific is going to be 4 games. We're going to be playing Crash Bandicoot, Super Mario 64, Spyro the Dragon, and I promise I'm not forgetting this. There we go, Banjo-Tooie.
Banjo-Tooie.
So we're going to be doing 4 games back to back. It's not a race or anything, just 4 people playing together, just trying to see if we can get the fastest time. And yeah, that's kind of showcase a little bit about what the 1545 is about. So I'll start with you, Rob. Could you maybe elaborate for the audience? What is the 1545 exactly?
Yeah, sure. So the 1545 consists of 13 games, all in a massive relay event that takes around 50 hours. It's a combination of the Super Mario 602, which has runners do Super Mario 64 120 star, Super Mario Galaxy 120 star, Super Mario Sunshine 120 shine, and Super Mario Galaxy 2 242 star. And then on top of that, you add in the Rareware 301, which has Banjo-Kazooie 100%, Banjo-Tooie 100%, and Donkey Kong 64 101%. And if that wasn't enough, we add in the Sprashfecta, which is Spyro 1, 2, and 3, all 100%, Crash 1, 2, 3, all 100%. Add it all up, you get 1,545, hence the 1545.
All right, so that's easy enough, right? Like a single person just enters and does that all by themselves, right?
No, we do not have at the moment, no single person has done it, although myself and a few others have said that they will do it eventually. We have teams that are created by me and the other organizers, and they range from around 8 to 11 members, and they're all balanced so that no matter what skill level you are in your game, every team has a shot at winning.
Awesome. So I know this isn't the first time, obviously, that you guys have done this. How long has this been a thing?
You want to go, Faulty?
Sure, yeah. So it started the first idea came about in, I think, December of 2016. And then we really started planning pretty much right after AGDQ of 2017. A guy by the name of Holy Sanctum sort of pitched the idea out to the different communities and was like, hey, I want to put on this thing. I'd like a lot of help. And so we started talking about it at that point. And then pretty quickly opened up signups and got going. Did our first relay in the summer of 2017, mid-July. And that's sort of been our target each year since then for the race. So this year it'll be in July as well.
Awesome. All right, so in specific with this showcase, we are not going to be doing 100% of any game, but we're going to be doing any percents of the 4 games that we mentioned before. Do you guys want to kind of talk a little bit about the particular runners that we have for today?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. All 4 runners that we have are top of their game, and all 4 runners have been involved with, I believe all 4 of them have been in both previous 1545s. We have White Paws, who is, I believe, the world record holder in Crash 1 any%. And then we have Hummeldon doing Spyro 1 later on. In between Spyro and Crash, we have Paracusia, another top runner of Super Mario 64, doing 70 star. And then wrapping things up is GDO, who is another top runner of Banjo-Tooie. So 4 very good runners, all very skilled in their games. So this should be a very good showing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so just to kind of talk a little bit how this is going to work. So this is of course not a race, so all 4 are kind of participating together. We're going to have White Paw starting us off with Crash Bandicoot, and then we're going to, between each game, we'll have a couple minutes break. This is just to kind of make sure that there's no audio nonsense going on, and we'll kind of transition, Faulty and Rob, the gamer, will transition us in between games, kind of talk about what to expect next. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, I think we're almost ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and make sure everything's good. Switch over to White Paws. And I want to welcome White Paws. Welcome.
Hello.
So White Paws is going to be doing some commentary as well as Faulty and Rob. So Faulty and Rob are going to be here for the entirety of the relay, and each runner is also going to do their own commentary for each individual game as well. So looks like we are ready to go. White Paws, are you ready to go?
I'm dying, but yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. So I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright. That was fast.
Yeah,
But yeah.
get right into it.
Okay, so this is Crash 1 any percent. So the idea of this category is to beat like all the levels, well except the bonus ones, which are 2, and get to Cortex as fast as possible and beat him. You're gonna see a lot of like this Death Abusing, which is because at the end of each level there's a cutscene that plays if you do the level without dying after a checkpoint. And it'll drop on top of Crash's head, like all the boxes I didn't break throughout the level. And it's really, really long, so in order to skip that, at least in the NTSC version with Death Abuse. In the NTSCJ version, for example, it doesn't work. But Crash will only, like, the game will only drop on top of your head, only 1 box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
so
a lot of intentional dying in this, and it's okay because you get a whole lot of lives just from boxes scattered around the levels, right?
Yeah, this game gives you lives like crazy. This game is very cycle heavy. A lot of the time save just comes from getting earlier cycles and stuff like that. I'll probably talk about that a little bit more in those that are like more significant. But yeah, so for instance here, in this checkpoint, you just turn around and go on Death Abuse, because it's actually faster than just finishing the level. The previous strat, like, meant you had to break so many boxes in these first 2 levels. Like, this was 2016 stuff, but it was found out that, like, Death Abusing in these levels were just faster.
Yeah, with every level, the strategy is either going to be take 1 death somewhere in the level that minimizes time loss, or break as many of the boxes as possible while leaving optimally 1, maybe 2 unbroken. Most of the time it ends up being that Death Abusing is faster.
Yeah, there's only 3 levels where I'm not gonna Death Abuse in. I'm just gonna get into those later because they have different reasonings.
Yeah, and just to put chat at ease, White Paws is much better than you give him credit for. He will not be taking 4 hours to beat Crash 1. The 4-hour estimate is an estimate for Crash, SM64, Spyro, and Banjo-Tooie all
No,
together.
I'm actually gonna take 4 hours, don't worry.
Oh, you are? Oh, well, in this case, I better strap myself in. We're gonna be here a while.
Yeah, more realistically though, your world record is like 40:07, I believe.
Yeah,
So
it's
like,
actually a really, really good run.
yeah, so
It has
like a
very
45
minimal
estimate,
mistakes.
something around there.
Yeah, I think my estimate was a 44 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, I know all 4 runs are roughly around the same length. They're all about 40 to 45 minutes long, which is why bringing them all together was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, I did something back there, which was like abusing the invincibility frames. You'll probably see that a lot later in the run, so I can probably explain it. But yeah, once you spin, you have invincibility frames to skip some hazards. It's pretty nice. You can abuse that a lot. But yeah, the main movement of this game is zigzagging. So how this works is that while you're in the air, you alternate diagonals. So right now, I'm alternating between down right and down left as fast as I can. And that gives me a lot of speed. There's actually an equation for it, but I don't know it. I think like a Tazer had it, but I don't remember. It's like something with square root or some stuff. It's dumb. But yeah, this level is very good for showcasing this because the boulder goes roughly at the same speed as Crash when he's walking, but like with zigzagging you can just outrun the boulder super hard. So it actually saves a lot of time throughout the run.
It's always funny getting to the end of this level or any of the boulder levels and like not even seeing the boulder because you're so far ahead.
Alright, so this is upstream. This is where all runs die of any category, either any percent or 100%. So she honestly reset here a lot. In any percent, there's a trick in this level called double jumps. It's pretty hard. I'm gonna try to do one of them just to see if I can showcase it. If I fail it, I won't go for it again. If I fail it, it only loses like 8 seconds, so it's not too bad.
Might as well go for it. No reason not to.
Also, I wanted to run with splits, but like since the countdown was so fast, like I couldn't start them. God damn it.
Well, it's okay. I'm sure it'll be fine.
All right. Let's see.
So to answer a couple of the questions in chat about,
I actually got it. Let's go.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Nice. So that was
Alright.
a nice double jump that you saw from White Paws.
Let me just explain that real quick, and then you can
Yeah,
answer.
sure.
So how double jumps work in this game is that on moving platforms, like this hitbox extends a little bit further than it actually seems. So if you land on a specific part of that moving lily pad and spin and jump, the game still thinks you're in the air, so you can do a meter jump like that. It's a 3-frame followed by a 10-frame jump, but it's pretty hard because of the positioning. It's, yeah, you reset there a lot, but yeah.
And then you quickly saw the easiest boss in, I think, all of Crash Bandicoot history, Papu Papu. Doesn't even warrant commentary, I mean...
I honestly always forget the bosses exist in this game, because the bosses are like the breaks that this game has, honestly.
It's pretty funny that in a speedrun like Crash 1, the bosses are almost like the easy part of the run. Whereas in a lot of casual gaming in general, the bosses are like the hard part of the run.
Yeah.
I've seen a few questions about intentional deaths again, so we can talk about that. You'll see, like, just a few seconds ago, White Paws hit a checkpoint while he was falling down to do a death abuse, and that just skips a few animations and times at the end to save per level.
Yeah, next level is actually perfect to talk about that, because I'm actually not gonna death abuse next level, so...
Oh.
Alright, so when you die, we know it's on purpose. But
Yeah,
it's okay,
dying.
it won't happen.
If I die, it's because of spike glitch, because there's a glitch that can happen that can kill you in Hog Wild. It's really stupid. And yeah. So
Oh, actually, next level is Hog Ride, isn't it?
Hog Wild, yeah.
Yeah, Hog Wild, sorry. But yeah, this is
Hog Ride is the one in Crash 3. Don't
Yeah,
confuse that.
I'm much more of a Crash 3 and Crash 2 than a Crash 1 runner myself, so... But this is still a fun level. Crash riding a hog.
Yeah, this is a nice break. The problem with this level is that it has some RNG to it. So, precisely because we are not gonna death abuse, the cutscene actually has some RNG to it. Like, Crash can do... Yeah, it's really stupid, and I can actually find the cycles in the next level. That's what I'm gonna talk about in a few. So, but yeah, once you get the cutscene, Crash can like look to the side 1, 2, 3, or even 4 times, rarely, but I've gotten it. And however time it takes, it actually manipulates the cycles for the next level. That's why that's because most of the cycles in this game are global cycles, which means that they're working since the game is on, basically. So like while I was in the title screen, the cycles for most of the levels were actually working. Believe it or not, it was programmed that way. So I got good RNG there. It was only 1 take and it was pretty fast. So I have time to get this mask here and still catch the cycle, which is nice. And it'll give me time to also showcase a skip. Because if you get bad RNG, you cannot get that mask and you have to do a different strat. It's dumb.
Yeah. So one of the questions I saw in chat was about the original version versus the Insane Trilogy remakes. And I know there are different categories, but other than that, can you maybe go into the differences more?
Give me just a second, I'll do this skip first.
Oh yeah, sure.
I need to focus and then I'll explain that. Sure.
I can talk about it a little bit. So, Crash 1 and Crash 2 and 3 have very different movement mechanics in the original games. They just work really quite differently because they were, pretty technologically leading at the time. But for the remakes, they decided to make them more consistent, so they have the same physics and movement mechanics across the different games, which does change a fair bit about what the runs really look like and how they play. but I think overall the load list times for the Insane Trilogy and the real-time times for the originals are fairly similar, actually. At least they seem not too different. But if you're just looking at in terms of time spent, like you'll be sitting and holding the controller, it's much longer because the load screens in this game are, you know, half a second to 1-2 seconds, but they're like 10 seconds to 15 seconds in the remakes.
Yeah, I guess people maybe have questions about that skip, that out of bounds. It's actually fairly easy. So what you do is you use like once you get hit, you actually get height, because yeah, this game was programmed like that, I guess. And you can use that extra height to get on top of the ceiling and just walk out of bounds. It's pretty nice. It lets you skip like a pretty hard section. So also, that was a ridiculously good item one for like a marathon.
Really
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
so far
super
doing
good.
great.
I'm pretty sure that's better than my PVs. I think.
Wow.
Not sure because I don't have splits, but I think so.
You hear that, everyone? We may be on world record pace at the moment.
Nah, dude, the run doesn't start until Temple Ruins. Don't worry.
Yeah, fair point.
So one of the most important levels is actually coming up after the second boss fight, because it's the only level that I'm gonna 100%, and that's because you get the green gem. The green gem allows you to skip an entire extra level that's like right at the end, which is Castle Machinery. And it saves like around 2 minutes. The thing with this game and 100%ing is that you cannot die past a checkpoint. So if I were to die past a checkpoint, I actually need to exit and re-enter the level. So I would lose a lot. So I'm actually gonna try and focus when I get there. So I'm not gonna talk all that much.
Yeah, no,
Guessing I
we'll
wanna-
certainly let you focus.
So a quick question about what the 1545 is again. So it's, we had the info command come up. It's 3 different relays, the Mario 602, Sprash 642, and Rareware 301, and the number just comes from the total percentage completion that you get across all of those different games. So there's 13 of them, and our main event runs in the summers, and we have teams go through back to back to back to back, the whole thing over the course of a weekend. Very exciting relay. Always been pretty good so far.
Alright, so this is Ripperoo. This is basically a most auto-scroller boss of all. Like the 10 barons is actually like so small. So what you wanna do is that you have 2 masks when you enter a boss fight, and you cannot actually take them out, so you might as well use them, so you just damage are used on these TNTs. You can also do a cool thing. You can die at the same time his Crash says yeah, and you actually don't die, so he just like comes back from the dead. Alright, I'm gonna YOLO this level because I have a chance actually.
Ah, why not? Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Show people what you can do. So this is the level we're 100%ing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a... So for those who don't know, 100%ing a Crash 1 level involves breaking all of the boxes, but especially with Crash 1, on top of that you have to do the entire thing deathless. Meaning if he has 1 death, he'll either have to forfeit the green gem and do the level later on, or redo the whole level.
I missed a cycle, so that's rip record, pretty sure. That's like a 7-second time loss, and I don't have that much time save on my time on my PV.
Okay, but even still, just focus on finishing off the level, and we'll hopefully still get a good marathon time.
Yeah. But yeah, like, the record is actually very, very good. It has,
Very impressive.
like, on, Wait, I'm gonna try to do the pool board jumps. Hey, I got them. There's 3 frame jumps, like, you can jump on those, pool boards when they're hidden.
So
It's
slick.
kind of precise, but like once you get the timing down, it's not that hard. But yeah, what I was saying is like the record has very minimal mistakes. As I said, this game is very cycle heavy, so most of the times come from cycles. So in that sense, it's like actually not that hard to like be that optimized, because if you keep it with the cycle, you're just gonna get the same thing. But at the same time, keeping up with the cycles is hard. So
Yeah. Cycles is the name of the game, I think, in Crash 1, so...
Really across all of them.
2 is not all
Yeah.
that much, but 3 is also very cycle heavy.
Yeah.
Alright, I got the gems, so we are good.
There we go. So, reminder to people, or for those who did not catch it, we got the green gem here because later on in, what would you say, 20 minutes? I don't know how long until the level, but later on in the level, we're going to use this green gem to skip the entire level, and it saves a decent amount of time.
Yeah, it saves a lot. So I'm gonna Death Abuse here. This level actually has... It's pretty hard. It has some skips that are pretty cool, too. But, like, I tend to say the run never starts until you're past this level, because... Like, after this level, there's a level that's, like, pretty easy compared to, like, every other level we've done, at least in speedrun-wise. So I'm gonna do a flame skip here. Alright, got the first one. So you can, like, jump on the side of those flames and not die. It's not that precise, but you can still, like, mess it up and die. And if I were to mess up in that one, I would lose, like, around 20 seconds, so... I could do a corner skip there by zigzagging. And I'm gonna do another flame skip here. Okay, yeah. That was very bad setup, that's fine. This one doesn't take that long, it's like 12. This is still decent, so...
Yeah, no, that was, what, the first accidental death? So,
yeah. Okay, there we go.
I would say so good.
And thankfully I was not too far from the checkpoint either.
Yeah, that one doesn't lose a lot much. The first one definitely loses way more.
Yeah.
It may be a little bit out of sync, by the way, just that I see a question in the chat. It's because my cap card has like a 2-second delay, so that may be why. I'm gonna take that into account, actually. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
So this level's
So I don't do spoilers. Yeah, this level is very fun with zigzagging, because it basically removes the difficulty from this. It's super nice. It's kind of a nice break.
Yeah, I think this is one of those levels where you either it's your favorite level in the game or you hate it with a burning passion.
This level in 100% is actually like pretty cool. It has some really cool strats, but
yeah, I know me personally, this is one of my favorite levels to run.
And yeah, I don't do the rope thing. Like, I don't stand on the rope because it's slower. Like, you cannot really zigzag while you're in the rope, so you actually end up losing some movement. Unlike in the remasters, that's one of the differences, I guess, in these levels. In the remasters, you just get on the rope and go.
Yeah.
But in this one, yeah, it's slower.
Alright.
So this is Boulder Dash. This is actually a very important level, even though it doesn't seem like it, because however I do this level, I'll get the God Cycle or not in Sunset Vista. And I'm pretty sure my SGQ run in SGQ 17 run failed the God Cycle, so I actually want to get it this time. Let's go.
You got it.
It requires a lot of zigzags, so I'm gonna focus.
Meanwhile, there was a question about zigzagging. I can talk about it again. So, in just like a lot of fairly old 3D games, you sort of have two different movement speeds, horizontal and directional, or vertical, whatever you want to call it. And they're sort of two different values, and your speed is like the sum of those two values. And so, in a lot of these older games, if you're holding both, you can actually get higher than normal movement speed, and so you obviously don't want to be moving diagonally, so you do really quick back and forth diagonal inputs to sort of keep going straight, which is called zigzagging.
Also, spinning is faster than walking, that's why I do it so much.
Yes.
You can actually get spin timer, I'll probably explain that in the next level. Yeah, also whatever Tab says he's right, because he's also like a very good runner of the game. He has the record in 100%.
Oh, he does now? Oh.
Yeah. 103.37 is pretty good.
I was just recently looking at the 1545 world records. I keep a document locally. Oh, we want to talk about this real quick? Or
Probably.
Yeah, this is a skip. I actually have no idea how it works. I've been running this game since 2015, pretty sure, and I still have no idea how this works. So you spin and you get stuck like on a plane, I guess, and then you mash X, and then you get up here, and then you can just skip this. It's actually not that much faster than going the regular way, funny enough.
probably a lot safer though.
Yeah, it is. It does save
At least once you
quite a
get
bit
it.
of trouble.
Yeah.
Getting it is actually pretty easy. You have like almost a full second of leeway, so because spinning lasts for 24 frames, so you can't get it on any of those 24 frames. You have to spin right before the pusher comes out. I actually will do it soon again. I got the God cycle, by the way, so I know exactly how old these cycles are gonna be.
Nice.
Just kinda nice. This game is very scripted in that sense. That like, if you do the same thing, as I said before, you're gonna get the same thing, so...
There was also a question about cycles earlier that I saw and we didn't answer. Somebody asked if they were similar to the Super Mario Bros. Cycles, where it's like a framework. It's very different. So it's physics and movement cycles, where enemies are, where platforms are, and it's based off of when you spawn.
Yeah, there's actually three types of cycles.
Oh, really?
So there's global cycles, which are the most common ones. There's local cycles and spawn cycles, and I'm smashing. But yeah. Local cycles are those that like start going once you are very close to them. So like, let's say the flames in Temple Ruins, or the plants in Up the Creek and Upstream, those are local. Spawn cycles are... there's only one spawn cycle in the game, and it's in Castle Machinery, so we won't see it because we skipped that level. But it's basically a cycle that starts once you enter the level, and then global cycles are the ones that are working all throughout the game. Oh yeah, by the way, Death of Using resets the cycles, so it actually comes very in handy, only not to like remove the cutscene, but for resetting the cycles. Yeah, it's super nice.
So
because otherwise this game would be RNG basically.
So when you say it resets the cycles, does that include the global cycle as well?
That is the global cycles that get reset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So even if you make a mistake on one level, if you're death abusing in the next one, you're back on track basically. So that's very good.
Yeah, it's not like in Crash 3. In Crash 3, no item glitch. You actually have to carry the cycles all the way to Warp 4. So for like 20 minutes you have to play pretty much perfectly. It's a very interesting category, I think. No item glitch at top level.
Yeah.
For Crash 3. But yeah, this is Koalacon, the worst boss fight ever to exist in a video game. So this boss fight actually has RNG to it, and it's very unfortunate because I actually got good RNG in these two phases. But yeah, Koalacon can just go all the way to the left if he wants and throw the rock, and you can lose up to 7 seconds. It's really annoying. At the point this category is, this boss fight can like very easily kill a run just because of that RNG.
Yeah. I know this is certainly the boss that I have the most trouble with in Crash 1. Maybe even any Crash game.
Oh, something cool about this game too is that you can spin TNTs and not take damage. This is present in all 3 original games, not only Crash 1. I just do it there to get rid of the TNT, really. Like, it doesn't have any effect on the boss fight. You can just avoid the TNT.
Just makes it a little safer.
Yeah.
All right.
So, alright, Island 3, this has been a decent run so far, pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is Hey Machinery. These next 4 levels are actually like pretty hard. This is where the run kinda resumes its pace. hopefully I won't die. Hopefully I won't need that mask. But yeah, the first half of the level is pretty easy, except for one jump that I kind of wanted mask for, but oh well, it's fine. Right here.
So one thing worth noting in this game.
Okay,
is...
I died, so that's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. On retrospective, I shouldn't go for that, but had to. You can zigzag a lot to skip that second red hot pipe. So yeah.
So in this game, mask invulnerability is fast, right?
No.
No?
It's actually around the same speed. Actually, a little bit slower than zigzagging.
Okay.
So on 100%, you would actually get some, but that's because of box formations, really.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was the jump that I was trying to make. I got it this time, but I had a mask.
Nice.
Checkpoint is right there too, so it's kind of a shame, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, if I get a 41, I'll definitely take it, honestly. 41 is pretty good.
Yeah?
For sure.
So,
Seen some
working
nice.
our way through this machinery level. And I would say at this point we're firmly in the second half of the level is probably the...
Yeah. There's actually something coming up. I already did it earlier, but it's called a Submarine Jump. So it's a jumping meter, kind of similar to what double jumps do. So you spin off a ledge, and the game thinks you're still on the ground. You have 10 frames after the spin animation ends to input a jump, and you just jump in meter. I think that second one looks pretty cool. And then there's this, if I don't mess it up. So you can just spin and like increase your hitbox. So your hitbox. So once you're like in the platforms, they think you're already like there, so you just jump immediately.
Yeah. That was some good vertical momentum that you were able to gain.
That was also like more invincibility frames obvious. You can spin through those.
Right.
The electricity, I guess.
So Cortex Power, this is an interesting level because pretty much throughout all of Crash 1, 2, and 3, levels are always linear, whereas this one's a little more open-ended. You have multiple paths you can take. Yeah.
100% is actually like super cool because there's a pretty precise skip to this level. And it takes like 2 minutes, and it was like pseudo RNG back then, but now it's consistent, which is nice.
Yeah, not an easy skip though.
Alright, so that was Cortex Power. Generator Room has a pretty cool strat that I'm gonna explain after I death of using the first checkpoint. It's called the ZBM strat, shoutouts to him. So you can do a bunch of like movement to catch an earlier cycle. It's gonna look really weird, but it's actually not too hard. So that's a diagonal jump right there. The number of times I spin is actually like you have to like actually time it to get that skip, because if you spin one more time or one less time, I'm gonna death abuse again. That's fine. You will go faster or slower. So well, now you get to see it again because I messed up the sub jump that I wanted to do.
So for those who missed it the first time, now's your chance.
Yeah. The Submarine Jump is used here. I messed up the timing for some reason, but there we go again. I death abused again because the farther you spawn from the checkpoint, you're gonna get cycles that are already like way triggered. So I was probably gonna miss the cycle, so it was probably better to death abuse again. I haven't done that mistake in forever too, that sucks.
Alright, and we're nearing the end of Generator Rooms.
Actually, I did a jump earlier. I think this is kind of relevant to say, but it was called the GDQ jump. It saves 5 seconds, and it was named like that because we found it at GDQ.
Nice.
Like during an actual GDQ run, or just...
Nah, it was just in the casual room. Yeah, we were set the aim and I were messing around with strats. Dude, I'm zigzagging off the side. This level is particularly hard because of that. Like, you would think zigzagging is like not too bad, but like it's so easy to just like try to do it fast and lose a little bit of control, and then you just end up falling. Especially on a level with that's like thin like this.
Yeah.
There's a few PS1 games out there that do zigzagging, and in pretty much all of them, optimal zigzagging is very difficult to do, and it's all about having a decent controller and just being able to do it.
Alright, I'll tell my pace after I'm past Pinstripe, because I'm not sure how much time that Gen Room death was. Because honestly, like, I haven't died to that in forever, so I actually don't know. I know the heavy machinery death was like around a minute, I want to say.
I think so, yeah.
And that one, if I had to take a guess, was like 20.
Sounds right to me.
So I can still get a 41, which is okay by me, so...
Yeah, for sure.
My goal for this run is to try and beat the run that I did on SGDQ 17, which was a 42-34.
Alright, so now we get to see Pinstripe, which is one of my favorite characters slash bosses.
Yeah, the only strat to this level was like, if you just saw Pinstripe, I let him just go by the first time, and then on his way back I just hit him. That saves around 3 seconds. Funny enough, neither of the tasks do that strat, and I'm like surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess like
Or,
they just thought... Like, the tasks are very good for this game, both the LOTAD and the actual task, but this one strat they don't do for some reason.
are they older tasks, or...?
I guess Pyrohikos is like pretty old, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised, because that does sound a little strange that they wouldn't have that strat in.
So I'm roughly around a minute 40 behind, I wanna say. That's okay, I can still get a 41, so...
Yeah, that's the spirit. So now we have a second bridge level. This is what, High Road? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, this one's actually, I think... I don't know, both levels are like pretty easy. In any percent. I think in Hondo, this one's way easier.
Yeah,
the
I
tower.
can agree with that. I would say this is one of the few games that, for the 1545, that I would almost say 100% is easier than any percent.
Oh
So-
no, I don't know,
You
dude.
disagree?
100% is like, I think both of them are really, really hard. 100%
sorry?
has so much strats. Like, it's not that one is harder than the other one, it's just both are
I'll
hard.
rephrase that. To do them optimally, they are both difficult.
Oh,
The one thing I was gonna say that has the benefit with 100% is, and I don't think we ever mentioned this, is because White Paws is constantly doing death abuses, his life count is always low. If he game overs, then that's it. This game doesn't save. Whereas at least 100%, you're getting so many lives by the end you have 99.
yeah.
And with that being said, on to the most infamous Crash Bandicoot level.
Do you mean Slippery? I mean Stormy Ascent?
Both. I don't know. Both are pretty infamous.
This level is actually not too bad in any. Although there's a strat that I've been messing up like every step on my PB. Pretty much. That saves a second. Hopefully I won't mess it up, because if I do mess it up, it's like... No, do you know what? I'm actually not gonna go for it. I kinda want to get the 41. It's... Or should I go for it? It
It's up
takes
to you,
1
I guess.
second.
You have to
Worth. I got it, so it's fine. So you can just jump on like that pool board that's closed and catch an early cycle up there. It takes 1 second, and if you die, you lose like a billion years, basically, around. So I would have gone overestimate for around a billion years and 40 minutes.
It's okay. We had a buffer time. It's okay.
So yeah, real quick for those asking about the 1545 itself, if you missed the beginning, the 1545 is the 642 Sprashfecta, or just the Sprashfecta, combined with the Rareware 301, combined with the Super Mario 602, because 642 plus 602 plus 301, for those who are bad with math, equals 1,545. So that's why it's the 1545.
Hey, I'm bad at math.
And because doing 100% runs take hours, at least an hour for each game. I think the fastest one is 1 hour, 12 minutes. For today, we're showing you just a little bit of each series. We have 4 any percent runs. White Paws is currently doing Crash 1. Afterwards will be Paracusia doing Super Mario 64. Next will be Hummelden doing Spyro 1. And finally, we'll
Shout out
have
to Tept.
We'll have
Shout out to Tept for that death.
Banjo-Tooie any percent.
I
Also,
think
why are we shouting Ted out for the death?
because he lost a run not too long ago to bonking on that archway, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was like some archway. I'm not sure if it was that one in particular, but like it was something like those. But yeah, so the gimmick of this though is just you have the mask that it like gives you light. So if you get hit, you lose the mask and you lose your light, so you cannot see. There's actually a cycle that I want to catch right here, so I'm gonna focus.
Mhm.
Should be good. Cool. Alright, so I got that cycle. Like, if you fail it, you can still do a sub jump to get it, but it makes the next level harder. Because you cannot grab the mask and you have to do backwards flame skip, which is something similar to what we did in Temple Ruins, but backwards. But since I got sub jump, please, I can actually grab the mask and go for the flame skip without worrying of dying, so it's kind of nice to have that. Hopefully I'll get the gold cycle, because if I don't, I might not be able to get a 41. I'm not entirely sure, so... I mean, a 42 is still okay. As long as I get under a 42, 30, 34, that's fine by me.
Still plenty better than what I could do. This will be the common theme of today.
Yeah, the thing with this game is that it's very hard to get... Well, I died. Okay, never mind. Rip. It's very hard to get a run. I was just gonna talk about this, but it's very hard to get a run that's similar to your skill level, just because the deaths are so punishing.
Yeah.
Like, the checkpoints are so far apart that if you die once, you lose so much time.
Yeah, any single death in this game can cost somewhere between 10 to upwards of a minute, depending on where you are.
I guess I called it. Well, I don't think I'm beating that time. Oh well, whatever.
So was
So
that
just
last,
stay focused
still
and finish strong.
yeah.
Yeah,
Was
it's
that
still
last
is
death
wrong.
from a dropped input? Have we talked about that?
No, I'm pretty sure I mistimed it. I don't know why I'm like doing that. On my defense, I'm on 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Yeah, and we thank you for still being able to do this.
No,
so.
no Johns. I'm not joining, I swear.
So, nearing the end of Jaws of Darkness here, I believe. Actually, my bad. We still got a little bit.
No, there's just some cycles here at the end.
Yeah.
The end is actually not too hard, so you just do these diagonal jumps and then that's basically it. Okay. Huh. I'm praying before I tie that 42, 34. But yeah, so this is Castle Machinery. This is that always escape. So the green gem is here. We ride it. We just go to this like live thing and do a 3 range there, and that's it. That's the level.
So
and this is the cutscene that I was talking about. The one that like boxes on top of your head. It's
Yeah,
really slow.
so this box cutscene, as you can see, is really slow, and that's why we've been dying this entire time to avoid this. That being said, without using the green gem, that jump's always looked doable to me, but I imagine... Well,
There's an invisible wall. It's
Oh,
actually...
there is an invisible wall.
You can't... Like, it is doable with a sub jump, but you just cannot get it because there's an invisible wall.
I see. So now we just gotta figure out a way to deload the invisible wall.
You can get it with zigzagging. Zigzagging is basically negative zigzag, so it's alternating, let's say, up left and down right every frame. Only Taz can do it, obviously. So.
Nah, that sounds easy enough.
If you get a chance, it's definitely worth going onto YouTube and searching zigzag.
Yeah, look for the Crash 1 loaded. It's like 25 minutes
really?
because it does zigzagging and the levels go by like in 10 seconds. It's actually insane.
Yeah, you will be impressed, guaranteed.
It's like it goes so fast that the level has problem loading, so it like stutters at times. It's really funny.
Yeah.
So this is the last level of the game. I got the glitch cycle, but I didn't die. Let's go. So I used the invisibility frames there to like skip that electricity. It's actually harder to do it in the air, just because in the air the spins last less frames. So while in the air the spin lasts for 14 frames, in the ground it lasts 24. And if you land while spinning, it lasts for 18. And you can do this too. For some reason, those TNTs have like the worst hit detection in existence. Good programming.
Well, to be fair, this game was released in '96, I believe.
No, don't give excuses to Andy.
Hmm?
Don't give excuses to Andy Gavin.
Oh, don't give excuses, yeah. Alright, fine. I guess me being a programmer, it's like, I want to forgive other programmers for small mistakes.
So this should be a 42. It's actually gonna be higher than the 42-34.
Okay.
That's a shame.
So,
But
who's
this
ready
is
for
still
the
a
hard
good run.
And that was the hull.
This is still a decent run though. So, like, considering that the death in High Machinery was so costly, just remove a minute of that, and that's what I should have gotten, of course.
Yeah. So now we're on the final boss fighting
Yeah.
Dr. Neo Cortex.
Yeah, time comes pretty soon.
Right when that last health bar disappears, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, probably 20 seconds or something. I was not expecting to get hit there, and I almost held up and died. So the only strat that you can do here is really like go into the front, I guess. You can actually avoid these blue things without even jumping. It's kind of dumb. But it lets you hit the green things a little bit faster, and time is coming up like very, very soon. And time.
Congrats.
That's not... Yeah, repeating my GDQ run. That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's okay though. It was
Yeah,
still decent.
Yeah, still definitely a very
Okay.
good showing of the
Yeah,
game.
no, that was a really solid Crash 1 run, White Buzz.
Yeah, it was not bad. Also, shoutouts to the Crash community. Thanks for listening.
You know,
Awesome. All right,
Shoutouts
nice
to
try.
that train too.
yeah,
Thank
welcome
you.
to my life.
Thank you, White Paws, for the crash run. That was awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to Super Mario 64 next. We're gonna go ahead and get set up with that. And while we're doing that, very quickly, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you all for watching this broadcast. And our Hotfix broadcasts are in part funded thanks to your support. So just like, of course, watching the show and spreading the word is great, but also your subscriptions also help a lot. So if you do consider to subscribe to us, we really appreciate it, and thank you very much. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Faulty and Rob. They're going to kind of talk about the next game and what to expect.
Yeah, so up next we got SM64, Super Mario 64. We're going to be running 70 star with Paracusia. I'm sure a lot of people are pretty familiar with that run. It's not really any percent per se. There's definitely much faster categories, but it's a fairly even showing with the rest of these, which is why we decided to go with it. Do you want to talk a little bit about, I guess, what the run's going to look like? Rob?
Yeah, so I think out of the 4 games we're showing today, Super Mario 64 is probably the one people are most familiar with.
For sure.
I think SM64 was one of the more pioneering games for speedrunning. It took off like a crazy bullet. Is still one of the most popular speedrun games. I think the only game that has passed it, I think, is Odyssey.
I
So
think so.
yeah, maybe Ocarina of Time, but I don't think so.
They're definitely all up there.
Yeah, the N64 games in general just lend themselves to speedrunning very well. And we're luckily gonna be having a very good showcasing with Paracusia, who is a very talented SM64 runner.
Yeah, very high up there.
Yeah, so we'll get to see him collect 70 stars, no MIPS clip, and then beat Bowser, and all of that will be in under 45 minutes, really.
Yeah, and I guess I just want to take a time while we're in between games here to shout out, I guess, a few of our socials and where you can find out more information. So we are the 1545 doing the showcase here. We're a community doing a massive relay every summer of 13 different games. We got the Mario series, the Rareware series, Spyro and Crash series. If you want to find out more, you can go to 1545.org. Rob just posted those links in there. Thank you for that. You can also follow us on Twitter at _1545. Sadly, it wasn't available. On Twitch, it's the 1545 directly. And you can also feel free to join us on Discord, discord.1545.org. Super welcoming community. Definitely one of my favorites to be in for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, and if you're at all interested in learning any of the games, this community is very welcoming. Like Faulty said, we have people who can try to help you. If you are a runner of a game, but you're worried, oh, I don't think I'm good enough to participate in the 1545 in July, that's not really the case. We are very welcoming, and we balance each team so that if you're not that strong of a runner in whatever game you run, you have people who are strong in other games. And it's been very successful. Last year, I believe, we had teams all be within, 3 minutes of each other? It was very close. And even finishing-wise, I think the top 2 teams finished within, I want to say it was like within 15 minutes of each other overall. So.
I think it was like 5, yeah. Super low.
Yeah,
but anyway, it looks like we're getting ready to go now.
Yeah. Alright.
I guess real quick, talking about signups. So for our summer event, the main relay, we'll have signups opening mid-May. I think it's on the 19th. So if you're worrying about, did I miss them for this year? You have not yet. We'll definitely be sure to do announcements about when everything opens up. They'll be open for like 2 weeks at a time. So get practicing if you want to try to get involved, and we will hopefully see you there.
All right. Well, without further ado, we're just about ready to go with Super Mario 64, but I want to go ahead and take the moment to welcome Paracusia. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Excuse the voice, and I got a bit of a cough, so I was recently sick. So
no worries.
Well, as long as you're good enough to showcase some really good Mario play.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Well, we're ready to go. So if you want to go ahead and get ready to reset, and I'll count you down.
Yep.
All right. It's going to be 3, 2, 1, go.
So, just as a heads up for people, similar to the actual 1545 for this relay, we're not resetting the timer. The timer's just continuing from where White Paws left off. So, don't worry, it didn't take him 43 minutes to start. That would be pretty amazing. But yeah, so do you want to go into the beginnings of Super Mario 64, Para?
Yeah, so the category I'm going to be doing is 70 star, which is basically the minimum required stars to complete the game without any major glitches. So, like BLJs and whatnot. Basically, I'm just going to be entering a bunch of stages, doing a bunch of fast stars, and, you know, hopefully not messing up a lot. But this game is very movement heavy. There's the only breaks are between stars, it's a handful.
Yeah, and even though there aren't many major glitches in this run, it's definitely going to look a little bit broken just with how optimized the movement in this game has gotten over the years.
Yeah, so I just skipped a little cutscene there on the bridge, and I'm going to be entering BOB for hopefully 2 stars. I'm going to be going for Island Hop here.
Alright.
Because why not? This is pretty precise.
Yeah. So, Island Hop's a nice first star to get, but a little tricky to get it without wing cap.
Whoop. There we go.
Alright.
Bit of a slow start, but at least I got it.
Yeah. 1 down.
1 down, 69 to go.
So with Island Hop, a lot of newer runners won't go for that because it is actually quite precise. It makes this category sort of reset heavy, and we can actually come back to BOB and get it later with the wing cap. But I decided not to because this is the route I normally do. And I thought it'd be cool to showcase it in, a marathon setting.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we get Bomb Clip to get a 2nd star in BOB.
So I'm going to be entering the slide for the 1st star. There are 2 stars in slide. This saves roughly a second before entering Launch Fortress. A lot of people don't like to get slide first because it delays Launch Fortress, which is actually like an extremely hard star, and obviously they want to get the reset over and done with, in Launch Fortress. Oh, so I just messed up the slide. Sliding backwards. It's okay though.
Yeah, fortunately, one of the stars has nothing to do with time, just finishing, so not that big of a deal.
Yeah, very odd mistake there. So, to spawn the other star, you need to get under 22 seconds. We usually get around 12 seconds.
I think it's under 21, isn't it? I may be wrong.
Yeah, I actually have no clue. I'm used to getting 12-second times, that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm used to getting 20, 21-second times, so... yeah, so I think it's 21 seconds, but regardless, it's certainly reasonable if you get slide clip. So now we're into Whomp's Fortress.
Yep, so I'm going to be doing 100 coin first up. I'm going to be doing the fastest cycle here. It is quite tight. There's not a lot of errors I can make, such as that. I think I can still make it though.
And we're getting all 7 stars in Whomps, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Whomps is just a very fast stage for stars, so...
Okay, so I clutched it out there.
Nice. Is it the only stage we get all 7 in?
No, we actually get all 7 in TTC as well. TTC and Launch Fortress being, extremely short.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad. Like I said, I did kind of collapse that cycle with a long jump. Normally you just want a single jump kick onto that moving plank. That was a little scary. So I'm going to be exiting Whomps with 10 stars, and I'll be doing a couple more secret stars and then going into Dark World, which is actually... Dark World can be kind of hard. There's a lot of places you can die.
Yeah. So, as a reminder to those just turning in, this is 4 games all in a row. So, Crash Bandicoot 1 finished a few minutes ago, and now we're doing Super Mario 64. And that was canonless.
Yeah, so originally the strat was to just run off the plank and ledge grab a tiny little spot to get that star. But we're in 2019 now, there's different setups for that.
Yeah.
And texture setup is the more popular one these days. Which is just when we kind of look at the plank and look at a texture and line it up that way. There are slower strats that make it a lot easier. but they are pretty outdated. Only go for the best of strats for this 1545.
So first try Cannonless, first try Owlless. Sounds like a good run so far.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Doing surprisingly well.
So, already got 8 stars, certainly going just a bit more. After Wump's Fortress is Dark World, you said?
Yeah, so I have a couple more secret stars, so I gotta do the other slide star. And I've also got to get the wing cap, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll move into Dark World, which is, yeah, like I said, a very scary stage, especially in this setting.
So from my understanding, most of the time the order you do stars and levels isn't too important, but I believe you want to delay the tower one in this game, right? Or in Wump's Fortress.
Yes, because if you collect the Womp King Star like I just did, it will spawn the tower star. So on star number 2, it'll spawn the tower, and the tower causes a bunch of lag on pretty much all the stars. So basically that's why we delay tower.
And we're playing on the N64 version, correct?
Yes, this is the N64 version. This is also the Japanese version, which I forgot to mention, which is slower in this category by, I think it's like 2 seconds. But I do not have a US cartridge. That's the only reason why I don't run in US.
That's okay. At least you have an actual Japanese cartridge.
Yeah.
I thought what I bought was a Japanese version, and in a way it was the Shinjo version.
Oh yeah, the Shindu version is it's interesting. There's a bunch of things that are slow about it. You know, it's I believe the loading times are pretty long as well. The way you grab poles, Mario like sort of spins around and you lose time there. Also, BLJs are patched, so 16 star is impossible.
So now I get to go right into wing cap. By the way, nailed a slide that time. So
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened the first time. That was kind of a weird mistake.
yeah, but no matter. Now we're gonna do a wing cap. Right at the beginning, we dove down for 2 red coins. A faster. Is that risky at all? I don't even know.
No, it's actually pretty easy. The hardest part about the Tower of the Wing Cap is collecting the red coins and not missing them.
Right, because once you miss them, it's like you have to circle around to try to get it, and you're on a time limit because of the wing cap, so...
Yeah, flying can be extremely difficult in this game. It's one of the hardest mechanics.
Yep. And just like that, we're already entering the first of 3 Bowser levels, Bowser in the Dark World.
Yeah, so all Bowser levels are on cycles. And the cycle I'm going to be going for today, which I just failed already, was Zaya Cycle. But since I can't get that, I'm going to be doing a backup cycle called Shigeru Cycle, named after the runner Shigeru. Oh, I'm not going to be going for that either, okay.
Well, fortunately, this game is one of those that has backups on backups, it seems.
Yeah, we prepare for these moments, you know, the more experience you are with the game, the more backups, you know, obscure or not.
And it's definitely nice in levels like this where you're just sort of collecting coins along the level. Backups generally don't lose too much time, at least, you know, one compared to the other.
Yeah, so I'm going to be switching controller for this fight. Some people switch to a Hori mini-pad, because spinning with your original stick is sort of bad for the stick. It wears it down a lot faster. I actually switched to a normal N64 controller.
Interesting.
But you can spin just as well with them. I'm going to be heading over to Cool Mountain. sort of like an easy stage. It's not like super easy, but it's sort of a breather after having to do Wumps Fortress and Dark World.
Yeah, Cool Mountain's one of my favorite stages in this game. Got a lot of nice little stars to get.
Yeah, this will be the hardest part here. Which I got. Very nice.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah. So that just skipped having to unlock the cannon, go ride the cannon, do a couple of wall jumps. Just made a nice easy game. Or a nice easy star, jeez.
Yeah, it's like an 8-second star. I never really thought of this, but casually it would have taken, minutes to, go open the cannon,
Oh yeah.
enter the cannon, shoot over and all that. It's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah. And speaking of stars that take a speedrunner 8 seconds, delivering baby penguin here. Just grab the penguin, slide on your butt, and arrive at the mother penguin.
Yeah, it's surprisingly an easy strat. Like, you could learn, like... you could teach your grandmother to do that. It's, like, pretty...
I can certainly confirm it's easy, because I can do it.
Yeah.
So. But still, it makes for a very nice star to grab for this speedrun.
So I'm going to be doing 100 coin with the slide star. Now, normally in 120 star, you'll see runners do 100 coin with the big penguin race. But in 70 star, it's faster to replace that star with another faster star.
Right, so we're not racing the penguin in this.
No.
So it's all about making sure your coin count is just right so that at the end of the slide you can long jump right up to it, I think.
Yeah, actually, we collected outside now.
Oh, that's a new change that I've not realized. Certainly a lot safer, so...
Yeah, it is, it's cool because it's faster and safer. That's why, everyone sort of picked it up.
Yep.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions about the relay in the chat, so I guess I'll talk about that real quick while we're changing levels and stuff. So this is the 1545 Showcase relay. It's a subset of the full 1545, but what we're doing here is 4 different games. We've already done Crash Bandicoot 1, any percent. We're now on Super Mario 64, 70 star. Up next we'll have Spyro the Dragon, any percent, not 120. And then at the end we'll have Banjo-Tooie, any percent. And it's a relay format, meaning we're doing them back to back to back. Just with some technicalities, we're going to have breaks in between, short breaks. But for the sake of keeping the relay theme, we are pausing the timer at the end of the run and then resuming it when the next one starts.
Yep.
Yeah, so we enter BBH for 2 quick stars here. There have been attempts to route this out, but it's just too fast.
Yeah, I think the only level we completely skip is JRB, right?
Yeah, that's the only level we skip.
Which I can certainly confirm JRB is a slow, painful level.
JRB can be really interesting. See, swimming is sort of underrated in terms of speedrunning. There is a lot of technicality to it. It really takes runners a long time to sort of grasp how to go fast underwater. And I don't mean just by, like, swimming. I mean more, how do I put it? Like, angles and such. So coming up is Shifting Sandland, which is one of the hardest stages due to a glitch we have to do called Pillarless. I gotta do it twice because it's in my route. And also, because I'm on Japanese version... Oops, mismips there. Because I'm on Japanese version, I need to save here, because there is a chance I can crash the game doing this.
Oh, well, that would not be great. Fortunately, saving the game on Super Mario 64 really doesn't take much time at all, so...
So that was Pillarless. It's an extremely hard trick, honestly.
And for those who missed it, we will be doing it a second time, like Para said, so...
So I gotta... That was the part that can crash the game. I sort of did a special sort of movement there to avoid it, which is slower, but obviously safer. Oh, this is sketchy. Got in. Nice.
That's good recovery.
Oh, yeah. So what star are we getting next?
So this is Talon Star. We basically just use the speed from bouncing off of a fly guy to hit the Talon and make him spawn the star. Pretty simple trick there.
I always love that one because it looks like it uses a bunch of different mechanics of the game in a really quick succession.
Yeah, something a lot of people don't know is that when you bounce on something and you put your stick into neutral, you keep all the speed from before the bounce. That's a very unknown fact to, especially a lot of newer runners. So it's always good to make people aware. This is another hard stage. Basement in general is pretty hard, but Lethal Lava Land has a trick called Lava Boost, which can be a real pain. I'm just going to be doing a safer strat here, because I was actually failing it in warm-up. So yeah, basically we use the lava burn to boost us up there. Obviously, you can't get hit by lava 3 times or you die, so we have to get it in 2. And there's various strats you can use to get up there. That was basically like the middle... That was the middle ground strat, you know, it wasn't... It's not the extremely fast strat, but it's not the extremely slow one either.
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to see that again if you happen to miss that the first time. No, we're just going here, my bad.
Yeah, so this is a different star order than I usually do, but I just wanted to get those 2 out of the way.
Plus, as we said earlier, for the most part, with a few exceptions, the order you do stars within a level doesn't matter.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, now we're going to quickly grab the log star using wing cap.
Yeah, something that if you've ever watched 16 Star, they don't actually have the wing cap there, and they do a capless strat that we call side hop. But obviously, it is like kind of slower than the wing cap strat. But it's actually a lot harder. So I was going for a ledge grab skip there, I didn't get it, so that's sort of like a backup strat to kill the big bully there.
Yeah. Looked really solid to me. So yeah, already as you can see, we're at 28 stars, going very quickly through the star count.
Yeah, this round is actually not going too bad. I'm about 15 seconds behind my PB.
So Lava Land, we're getting all stars except for hundreds, it looks like.
Yep, you are correct.
Yeah, Lava Land's got a lot of fast stars. Very nice to go there for 70.
Yeah, 100 coin in Lethal Lava Land. It's kind of slow because all the coins are spread out, and you need this shell to collect a lot of the coins on the outside. But once you get inside the volcano, it's actually really fast collecting all the coins in there. But it's not fast enough to do in 70 star, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is, some of the 50 stars that we may not be doing, it's not necessarily that they're slow, but just slower than 70 others.
Yeah.
But the opposite of slow, that red coin star. Is that red coin star the fastest star? I've always felt it was.
No, the fastest star is actually Deep Freeze in Snowman's Land.
Oh yeah, I can believe that, certainly. That's another very fast one, so... So we now we're off to Dire.
Docks, yep. So this is a more recent development. Usually we would go to HMC after LLL and just do basement in one shot. But now we actually delay it so we can get the second MIP star.
I was wondering that, so that explains it. Okay then. Yeah, true, the 50 MIPS is pretty free star if you can get yourself in basement at that time, so...
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it wasn't found, like, earlier, that it was faster. There's still so many optimizations that are being found these days, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but definitely optimizations still happen.
Yeah, even, like, small frame savers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So, for people wondering why we're doing 70 star over, let's say, 16 star or 1 or 0, the reason is that, like the... So the original purpose of the 1545 was a 602 with a 301 with the Sprashfecta 642. Similarly, when we were looking at any percents, we took inspiration from the Mario community for the 602 categories. And the Mario community holds, I believe it's the 246, 247.
Yep.
I think it's called both. And that involves doing 70 star SM64. So because we tend to follow what the communities do, that's why we do 70 star and not 16.
It's also good because it's around the same time as the other categories.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Especially
that's
today.
it. Yeah, especially today it works out very well because all 4 games are almost exactly the same time. So.
Yep. And for people asking about the timer and the relay and everything, we are just continuing the timer continuously through this whole relay of 4 games today. So this is the second. Crash 1 ended at 42:44, so we're about 24 minutes into this game so far.
Yep, somewhere about that.
Like I said, all the Bowser stages are cycle-based. Vice is no different. There was actually recently a new route, which I'll be doing right now, which makes the cycle a lot easier. Like, significantly easier to make. So if you're wondering about my camera angles as well, most camera manipulation in this game is due to lag reductions. So if you see me with like a weird camera, like, oh, why doesn't he have like a straight camera there? It's usually because there's a lot of lag in that area, and I'm trying to reduce all of it.
Yeah, Super Mario 64 is one of those games that has, I don't know if I would say a lot, but a decent amount of lag.
Yeah.
Especially in starting stages. Alright, now we're on the Bowser 2 fight. Very similar to the first Bowser fight.
Yeah, except if you miss this throw, you lose a lot of time. It's the worst throw to miss out of all of the Bowsers. Because he has to jump up on the stage and like tilt it again, and you lose a lot of time.
Yep. But fortunately we didn't miss, and now we have the key and can go upstairs.
So upstairs is you know, this whole run is difficult, but it just like it doesn't get any easier, especially when you go upstairs. Wet Dry World can be notorious for bad RNG.
Yeah, all of these upstairs levels I dislike for various reasons, except for Snowman's Land. That one's fun.
Actually, I recently got the Snowman's Land stage record, making it my 4th stage world record. I was pretty excited about that. I now have the most stage records out of anyone.
And that's just getting all 7 stars, I imagine, in it.
Yep, it starts on the very first star select and ends on the last star grab. And you can check them out on the leaderboards as individual levels. Thank you.
So we're going for 100 coins with... Which star are we getting this with? The one up top? Or no, the 5 secrets, right? Yeah. Okay. Right, I remember now, because pretty much a lot of the secrets have blocks that have 10 coins in them attached to them, so...
Yeah, in 120 star we actually do 100 coin with reds, but that's a lot slower in 70 star. Just because we don't have to collect all the stars in Wet Dry World.
I imagine going to the town is not something we'll be doing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town's just very out of the way compared to most of the other stars in Wet Dry World. So just like that, get another 2 stars.
We're now halfway through.
Yep.
Six.
So that triple jump wall kick can be kind of tricky due to its angle, and also there's actually a lot of lag on this star as you're doing the triple jump. So it's sort of risky. A lot of people don't do it because that one only saves around a second, but this next one saves a lot more.
So as a reminder to those who have not been here for long, we are doing 4 games, not just Super Mario 64, but 4 games. Started with Crash 1 Any% by White Paws, and we're now on game number 2. After this will be Spyro 1 Any% with Humbledon, and Banjo-Tooie Any% with GDM. So this whole timer, 1 hour, 12 minutes or so, he has not entirely been Paracusia here. The first 42 or so minutes were White Paws. So.
Yeah, so we were just about half an hour into this race, or into this game, sorry.
Right, so don't worry. Para's a lot better than the timer looks like.
But my personal timer is at 29:30, so I'm on 48 pace right now. My estimate is 55.
Yeah, so there you go. So currently about almost half an hour in. So finishing off Wet Dry World, going to my least favorite level in, I think, any Mario game. Oh, THI.
Yeah, THI could be rough. So that was Secrets. Probably the hardest star in 70 in this stage. We only get 3 stars here, but the others can be kind of tricky too, especially the Mountain Star, which I'll be doing as my next star. So basically I just clip through the mountain with a dive, and because there's water there, whenever you clip out of bounds into water, it will automatically teleport you to the top of the water. Which means I can just like clip up the top there and get the star.
Yeah. So getting, if memory serves correct, well, 1 more THI star?
Yep.
Okay.
just these piranha plants, and we'll head on to TTM.
By the way, for those who are curious about why I personally may not be given the most helpful, insightful commentary, me and Faulty are both organizers of the 1545, and all of us know a decent amount of pretty much all 13 games, but it's certainly the runners who have the more specified knowledge of the games. So, if I ask questions that seem like a normal commentator of SM64 would know, that would be why, because I am in no means a top runner of SM64 myself. So.
Ooh, failed that. So, I was just trying to clip up to the star there with a triple jump wall kick. It is pretty precise. And I failed it. I did practice it a lot, but it's super common to fail that.
It's okay. Tall Mountain's probably one of the stages that has a big variety in the stars. Some of the stars it has are extremely fast, and some of them are so slow. Looking especially at Monkey.
Yeah, we actually don't do Monkey in 70 star or 100 coin, luckily, because they're hard stars. But there's actually another stage I have world record in.
Fortunately, no Ukiki in this run, so... Still, seeing how you're able to climb the mountain so fast is really amazing, you know?
Yeah, I put a lot of time into the stage.
Oh yeah. The thing I really like about Super Mario 64, especially compared to some of the other 1545 games, is the emphasis on specific movement almost constantly. Every star has been optimized by frames. Every star has a backup. Almost a lot of backups have backups.
Yeah.
So... Not that the other 1545 games aren't optimized, every single one is optimized certainly, but I think Super Mario 64 has probably been the one that has been rough out.
So I went for a roll out there, but my finger sort of slipped on my analog stick and then just messed it up.
Yeah, getting those reds can be difficult, so... There we go. Now it's just the 4 reds on the vines, and then just drop down to the star. And I think, is that the last one in that total, or is there one more? No, that is.
No, that was the last.
Okay. So now we're off to Snowman's Land, where I imagine we're getting a decent amount of the stars here. A good amount of them are quick, I think.
Yeah, there's actually, oh, if I could get up there, that wouldn't be nice. There's a star that we can't get in the igloo because we don't have the vanish cap switch.
Right. And I imagine we're probably not doing hundreds.
No.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Most of the hundreds in the stages we're not getting, just because getting 100 coins takes a while. Is Whump's Fortress the only 100? No, Whumps and Ghoul the only hundreds we're getting?
We'll get TTC 100 too.
Oh, right, you had said that. My bad. So, yeah, you figure 15 stages and only 3 we're getting hundreds in. So 50 stars, we can now go down to the basement at some point to collect MIPs and get some stars from Hazy. But first, obviously, we're already in Snowman's Land, might as well finish it off.
Yeah, apologies. I'm having to mute because I'm sick and I have to cough a lot. So.
No, it's okay. We totally got it. You know, it's that time of the year, so.
So that was the last star in SL. We're going to be heading down to basement now to get basically MIPS, the second MIP star, which spawns at 50 stars, and also get some stars in HMC. And then we'll head up to the tippy top of the castle, which is arguably the hardest part.
Yeah, you got TikTok Clock, which is a difficult stage, and getting all 7 stars in it. And then Rainbow Ride, not Rainbow Road, like I always say, Ride, which will be getting a few stars, and that can also be annoying. But first, we get to say hi to our lovely rabbit friend again.
Yeah, that was a good catch unlike the last time. Small detail, but you want to try to delay the catch a little bit there to have the camera pan towards HMC. Something not a lot of people think about, but it is kind of important because your camera can get stuck on the wall and it makes the movement very awkward.
So the cool thing about HMC is there are a few neat tricks to getting some of the stars fast that we're going to see. Yeah, starting right off with getting to the top of this room, jumping right out of bounds, and getting all the way down there.
Yeah, so HMC has no ceiling, so we can just jump over walls and stuff. It's pretty fun.
So I'm seeing a fair few questions about the full relay and what this is exactly, so I'll just talk about that real quick. This is a showcase of a subset of the full 1545. We're today showing, as we mentioned a few times, we already did Crash Bandicoot. This is, of course, Super Mario 64. Up next we have Spyro 1, and then Banjo-Tooie. All the any percent-ish categories. The full relay of all 13 games from the Super Mario 602, the Rareware 301, and the Sprashfecta, sorry. It's happening on July 12th. You can find out more info on our site at 1545.org or exclamation 1545.
Now, I know you guys have been doing some showcases of some of the games that you're going to have in the 1545. Where can people watch that?
Yes, so like you just mentioned, we are doing what's called an invitational series, or we're calling an invitational series as solo features of each of the 13 games. We're running them Saturdays and Sundays on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the1545. They start normally pretty early afternoon Eastern time, early evening UTC. So be sure to check those out.
Yeah, most of them have already happened, but next week we'll be having a Spyro 3 117 race, as well as a, funny enough, Super Mario 64 120 race.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see both of those games on Saturday and Sunday next weekend. Earlier today we held a Crash 2 Hundo race, and so yeah, I think we're about 8 games into the Invitational, so
yeah.
But you can definitely catch all the past races on our YouTube channel as well, which I don't think I have a link to. What is our YouTube channel? That 1545 still?
I think so. It's linked on our site.
Okay, you can find a link to the YouTube on our site. So, HMC finished off, turning 50 stars in to get upstairs. I'm going right off to Rainbow Ride.
So this is Lakitu bounce. Basically, I manipulate the Lakitu with the triple jump, which I just failed getting up the slope, but that's common. I manipulate the Lakitu to be where I wall kick. which lets me bounce off of him and get up onto that slope and do some actually pretty precise jumps. It's actually more precise than you think. Or than it looks, sorry. But, well, it's not too bad. Failing it, you lose, like, you know, probably 5 seconds or so. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's nice because if you have a star like that where failing it is a possibility, you save the red coin star for later so that if you fail it, it's like, oh, well, I'll just get the red coin star now then. So it's all about having those backups on backups.
Oh, bit of a electric grab there. Play it safe here. Don't want to fall down again.
Yeah, falling down's probably not that fast.
Yeah, in 70 star you only have 2 backup stars.
So now we are gonna go get 2 more here. The one right up here, and then tricky triangles, I believe, is the last one.
Yeah. So tricky triangles and swing in the breeze are the 2 fast ones. Yep. That was actually new movement for swing in the breeze. It looks cool.
Very.
No. So that triple jump wall kick, if you sort of undershoot the triple jump, you only get like 1 frame to wall kick there. So it's kind of rough.
Now we're down to just 1 stage left, getting all the stars in TikTok and having a nice friendly conversation with our good old friend Toad.
Yeah, so some people get Toad before TTC, but that actually loses around a second. But I'm going to be doing 100 coin here. This is one of the most fast-paced 100 coins, and also one of the more difficult stars. Gonna have to do a backup here.
So yeah, TikTok clock can be a very difficult level. It's almost entirely vertical, so if you fall, you're falling quite a ways down, if not flat out dying.
Yeah, if you fall down the middle, you basically it's guaranteed death because everything's on the side.
And going right off the bat with hundreds, which is taking us all the way to the top, doing hundreds with the Thwomp Star, I am guessing?
Yep.
Okay. It's one of those things where I know what I do in 120 runs, but... Or, I know what I do in 120 runs, but not necessarily on a run 70. So. And with TikTok, are we mostly trying to get slow movement or no movement, or does it kind of not matter, or...
So
like,
for 3 of the stars, we want time moving. Basically, because it just makes it faster to get up. I'm gonna have to do a backup here. I'm gonna ground pound to delay falling there and get up. I'm glad I got to do that in a marathon run. Oh no, I fell. Damn it.
Well, just showing how bad falling can be. Almost saved it, though. Almost saved it.
Yeah, that backup was cool. Oh, I'm time stopped. I just realized. Whoops.
Your timer splits.
No, my actually I entered because when you die, you usually enter time stopped, and I was doing the movement for time moving. Because I just completely forgot.
Oh, right. Okay, you're talking about TTC time.
Yeah. My bad.
Oh no, you're all good. I just misunderstood is all.
just gonna play it safe here. That was pretty spaghetti movement. Oh, I fell again. Wow. That's why we leave that star to last.
Yeah, at least that time you were able to save it, so.
Yeah. These stars are just so hard.
Yeah.
Especially, like, mid-run. Like, you'll practice it and, like, yeah, I have no problems with this star. And then you get there in a run and just fail them all.
Like I've said before, I'm in no means a good 120 star runner, but it seems like every 120 run I do, it's always a different level or a different star that just keeps killing me time after time. And I can practice that star, but then the next run it's a different star and a different one. So.
Yeah, it's non-stop, just having to practice stuff.
Oh yeah, this is one of those games where you can definitely tell the difference between a good player and a really good player.
Yeah. So that's the 3 moving stars, and I'm just gonna enter time stop to once more to get roll into the cage. So hopefully that'll go as well.
So, only 2 more stars left in TTC, and both of them are about midway up the levels, so.
Yeah, that was my last star in TTC. I'm not sure if I can get a 49 anymore.
You went with Toad. My bad, I forgot.
Yeah.
So used to a lot of runners doing Toad before TTC, it seems. Although, like you said, it's apparently faster, so...
Yeah. Not with my movement, though. It's about the same speed, I guess. I don't do 70 enough to the point where I've, like, learned the fast movement into Sky.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
These stairs eat your jumps, it's, like, really hard to get up them.
That's the other thing to note, is you're predominantly a 120 runner, not even a 70 runner, right?
Yeah, there are the similarities in the categories.
Oh, certainly there are similarities, but there are still a few differences.
Yeah.
Like you said, getting 100s with 1 star in 70 versus a different one in 120. So different small little things like that. But regardless, not Dark World. We did Dark World a while ago. On to Bowser in the Sky. Not getting the reds because, you know, we already have 70 stars. We're ready to fight Bowser, so who needs them?
So yeah, I'm probably getting a 50 with this. Not too bad. I got 2 golds actually.
Yeah, 2 golds, that's really nice. Which levels, out of curiosity?
THI and HMC.
Yeah, both of them looked really solid, so I can believe that, definitely. So just got 1 more throw. And that is basically Super Mario 64.
Yeah, that was 70 star.
Yeah, time ends on grabbing the final star.
Yep, and that's time.
Get a 50-13.
So yeah, that's a solid SM64 70 star time.
Definitely.
Yeah, I did a lot better than I was expecting. Obviously, I put my estimate as 55, but I shouldn't be getting any worse than 51s.
Yeah, so 50 is about what you thought you'd get, so can't argue with that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, good round.
Yep.
I guess as a quick reminder as well, the first run of this relay was Crash 1 with a 42-44 by White Paws. So that's how we get the total of 132.57 right now.
Yep.
Awesome. Do you have any final thoughts, Garcia?
Other than thanks for having me, I guess, and I'm looking forward to the 1545. Obviously, I took part in the last 2 years, and I'm gonna sign up again this year. It's a lot of fun. I suggest everyone check it out.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for participating and doing a 70-star run. So we're going to go ahead and transition. We're going to get set up for the next run, which is going to be Spyro 1. So it's going to be an any% run by Humbledon, also known as Hum. So Faulty and Rob, if you want to go ahead and start explaining about Spyro, get set up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess just quick shout out to everything about the event. So this is the 1545 relay of a bunch of different games. You can find out more info about what we are, what we do, all that fun stuff at 1545.org. You can join our Discord at discord.1545.org. Follow us on Twitter at @_1545 and Twitch at @1545. We got a lot going on. Up next, we have Spyro 1, like Darkman just said, a very different game, I would say, than Super Mario 64.
Very different game from both Super Mario 64 and from Crash 1. And I think Spyro 1 is probably the game both of us, both me and you, Faulty, know the best. So.
For sure. Yeah.
Faulty is predominantly a Spyro runner, and while I would say I'm more predominantly a Crash runner, Spyro is definitely a series I grew up with, so I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah, this game in particular is very different just in the way that movement works. Of course, you're a dragon that can not fly, but glide, and so it's going to be a fair bit smoother, and it might look slower. I think Spyro 1 is probably the fastest looking of the Spyro series, which is always really nice to see. But it is a very exciting run, so hopefully you'll stick around.
Yeah, it's also one of the stranger runs of the 4, especially with Crash any%. You're beating all these levels in a linear fashion, pretty self-explanatory. SM64, getting 70 stars out of the 120, pretty self-explanatory. Spyro is a little bit different. So you start off in World 1, which is called the Artisan Home. You got to get your way through 6 worlds, and to get to each world has different requirements.
Yep.
So in total, I'm hopefully not going to get this wrong. We have to get a total of, I believe it's 6,000 gems, 50
dragons.
50 dragons, plus a required 1 in the final world, and 5 dragon eggs?
Correct.
Alright, I'm really happy I did not mess that up.
Yeah.
So we'll be going around different levels, collecting those different requirements. Especially starting off early, we're going to focus mostly on dragons and getting gems, and then near the end of the run, it's pretty much just a rush for gems.
All right. Well, without further ado, I think we can go ahead and bring in our runner, Hum. So I'm going to bring him in, and he should be here. So, Hum, well.
Yo, hello.
Happy to have you here. Hope you're ready for a good showing of Spyro.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I believe we're all set and ready to go. So if you're ready, I can count you down.
Yeah, is it 3, 2, 1, go?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So it's going to be 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Hello, Faulty. Hello, Rob. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. Been commentating some awesome runs for an hour, 33 minutes.
Oh, yeah. It's been good. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. The runners have been holding it down, too.
Yeah, we're going to continue this right off.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to start off in the third game. This is Spyro the Dragon, any%. So this is actually a tragic love story between Spyro the Dragon and Nasty Nork. So Spyro just wants to see Nasty Nork, wants to give him a big old smooch. The problem that underlies this whole story is that there's some balloonists that we need to reach a certain dowry to actually get to Nasty Nork. So over the course of any%, we're going to be collecting some dragons, we're going to be collecting some eggs and some gems so that we can get past those balloonists and get to the real important, giving Nasty Nork that big old smooch. Hopefully Spyro's been practicing because he can get that mixed up with flames all the time. So this first level, the first world in general, is pretty small, pretty simple. There's not too many good gems, so we're just going to focus on reaching the first dragon category, or dragon requirement. Yeah, requirements are pretty hard work to remember there.
I liked dowry that you said first.
Yeah, right.
That was a good one.
So the first requirement is 10 dragons. So we're going to basically get the 10 dragons, here because the other worlds offer a lot more as far as gem collection goes.
Yeah, I believe there's only 1,000 total in this world, whereas
Yeah.
other worlds have several thousand. So
Yep. So we get out of here and get to the next ones where all the big bucks are.
Yep.
And basically just kind of talk about routing in general this game. So over the course of the run, we have specific requirements or dowries, as I was joking about earlier. By the end of the run, or by the time we get to the last world, we're going to have a total of 50 dragons, 5 dragon eggs, and 6,000 gems.
nailed it.
I actually don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing 120% right now.
Ooh,
So
yeah, don't do 120.
that's just that's my main category, funny enough. And sometimes when I'm just doing commentary, I just autopilot into it. It's not a big deal. We just collected some gems, I guess, for fun.
It's safety strat. That way, if we end up being a few gems under, we don't panic.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
got the extra ones.
Yep. But yeah, so as far as routing goes with this game, most, like all the dragons that we collect, we basically route out 50 dragons. Those are consistent. We route out about 6 eggs. So if we miss one while we're trying to go fast, we can skip it and just keep going on and get a backup. The most that we're going to be focusing on is routing a bunch of gems so that we don't have to, stop every time we miss one. And this allows us to keep moving forward.
Yeah, this is very much one of the runs that is pretty loose with routing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much just get dragons, get as many gems as you can in the first 4 worlds, get to world 5. Okay, how many gems do I need in Jocks?
Yep. And we have a pretty good idea of, what we need to do in the last level, Jacques, to get whatever we missed. So
Yeah,
we have a couple different routes.
Ideally, you'll be hitting somewhere like 250, 275 gems in Jock. That makes it a very fast, like single pass level.
Yep.
But there's 500 total gems. So if you really mess up, you've got quite a bit of leniency there.
Oh yeah. And the
That's
final
what I
boss,
But yeah.
the final boss in there gives you a ton of gems. So we basically kind of head towards that. I actually
Yeah, I
missed.
Just get 200.
Yeah. I actually was trying to do what's called a wall glide. So if you glide against the wall there, you can actually maintain or gain your height. And you can do a pretty cool out of bounds there. I just opted to not try for it again. What happened was I basically got the wall glide just fine, but I tried to charge and go a little faster, and I ended up bonking and as a result.
So, any percent, no Dark Hollow, no Toasty, sadly, but
Yeah.
it's all about going fast, and already we are off to Peacekeepers.
Yep. And
What's
it starts.
interesting
Oh, go ahead.
So there are bosses in every homeworld of this game. So in the Artisans, there's a boss called Toasty. You don't actually have to fight them at all. You can technically skip all of them except for Jacques.
Well,
Yep.
also,
Well, actually, I guess you
Nasty
could.
at the end, but and yeah, technically you could skip Jacques, but odds are you will be taking the 200 gems from him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
it's-
Toasty's actually the only one we skipped. Interestingly.
Well, actually, we skip Doc Shemp in this world, and we get to him. Oh, we don't.
Oh,
we don't
yes,
skip the level
that's true.
itself, but we get to him. He's so we actually don't fight him.
So enter the level, get some gems, but not actually beat him. He gets to live today.
Yep.
So that chest you just blew up, the fan chest, they have some very interesting properties. You'll see a little bit later on in this level, you might have seen when you flamed it 3 times to break the chest, the fan flew up off the top of it. And it turns out that those are physics objects that travel along the level, and depending on the angle that you hit it at, can potentially hit enemies and knock them down. So like this big guy that just flamed, the big yellow guy. There's another one up here, back in the back corner, that has a 25 gem. And
Yeah,
I
you
think
might actually
you're
see
gonna...
him down here. Yep.
Yeah. Do you turn around to do
over.
this one? Yeah, you do. Okay. And there he is. So you
So
can
it's-
use the fan chests to optimize just a little bit. That saves you having to stop charging to flame them.
Oh.
A little bit better movement.
Oh wow. Okay.
That jump.
Oh.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that sucks.
I was just gonna make a comment about that skip. When I
Yeah.
first played this game casually, I thought that was actually the intended way. So I spent
Right.
hours and hours trying to get over there. And
Yep.
never could. Finally found out the real way, then get to speedrunning and find out the way I was trying to do it was the right way all along.
But it ends up working, right? We actually it is an unintended jump there. We use
Right.
what's called charge gliding, which combined with getting kind of a really good height right before it and kind of maintaining your momentum, it's a whole slew of different things. But charge gliding allows you to get just a tiny bit more height off of your glide, and that allows us to make that jump.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Now
And charge
we're-
gliding is real simple. It's when you're in the air, you hit charge right before hit glide. So it's basically frame after, like the frame after you hit charge, you hit glide.
Yep. Very
You
aptly
did it.
named.
Yep.
Let's see
Oh,
if-
okay. So
let's
I
see.
didn't get. I got like a very close.
Oh
Unfortunately.
man, I don't think I've ever actually seen one like that.
Yeah.
That's
Actually took a death there too,
Oh.
so I can try it again here.
yeah. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's totally what you meant to do, is give us a second try.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement tech in this game. It's fairly varied. Okay, didn't get it there.
Yeah. So for that trick, just you kind of got to see what is supposed to happen there. Basically, the animation of the mama dying there, she like falls backwards, but she still has like she still physically exists. So we can get behind the mama and get like lodged between her and the wall. And the animation of her falling backwards throws us up in the air because the game doesn't know what to do and it thinks you're about to get. That's called a proxy. We use it a few times in this game, but it's really, really used and utilized in the Spyro 2 and 3.
Yeah, proxies are everywhere in Spyro 2 and 3. And very difficult to get, in my opinion.
Yeah, this game is very mechanically different from the other two.
Yeah, which I think is why I personally love this game more than the other two.
Yep.
Yeah, the play is much faster. You'll see. It's not entirely obvious when you're just watching the game, but you will notice it immediately when you're playing them. This game is very much about moving quickly through levels, and having very precise platforming. 2 and 3 introduced other mechanics like hovering that really make it more of like a puzzle platformer, whereas this one is strictly fast moving through levels.
Not only different movement, but also Spyro 2 and 3 introduces mini games, which very much slow down the pace of the whole game.
Yes.
Because it'll be a minute of running, and then you're collecting green crystals that are coming out of the ground, and then you're a minute running, and you're playing hockey. And it's like, it's a very different experience. So.
Yep.
Coming up next, we've got the first of the flight levels.
Oh yeah. So there's a flight level, well, except for the Nasty's world at the end, and they're all really pretty good for gem collection. So if you finish the time trial flight, whatever you want to call it, you get 300 gems. Is it 300 gems? No.
I think it's 400?
It's four in Spyro 2. In Spyro 1.
Okay, yeah.
Is it
I said it, and then I should be pretty confident.
I've
just kind of take it for
played
granted.
I've played a lot more Spyro 2 recently than Spyro 1. So.
But yeah, it gives you a pretty good amount of gems per time spent. So we go to pretty much all of them. We skipped the first one.
Yeah, the first one's kind of a little annoying to get to. Nothing too bad, but...
And it's, if I remember correctly, it's the slowest one.
Yep.
Yeah, I can believe that with different plane cycles, train cycles.
Yep. Yeah, I think. Well, now I'm gonna I'm gonna feel really dumb if I'm wrong, but I think all the other ones, and that one's a little over a minute, like maybe a minute 8 or so.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Another interesting thing to note is that when he ended the flight level, he did it by ramming into the lighthouse, which allows you to skip an animation of Spyro's flying straight up in the air and things circling. Saves, 8 seconds? 6?
Oh yeah, it saves a good amount of time, and all you have to do is just get the thing right by a wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like a victory animation, and I guess they thought about like what happens if he's about to fly and want him to just phase through it, and they decided, nah, we're just gonna cut the animation right there, and it actually ends up being good for speedrunning. So
Yeah.
Thank you, dev team.
And then right before we entered Dr. Shemp, grabbed our first of the 5 dragon eggs, and now we're in Dr. Shemp.
Yep. The next world is the one that has the dragon egg requirements. So they have a ton of eggs throughout. We have 5 total eggs that are in our route, and we already collected 1, so we just have 1 as a backup. This level, or this world, the requirement is 1,200 gems. We're going to be about like 1,450 or so. That's what we kind of aim for. And generally, I don't keep too many specific gem counts or milestones to reach for the any percent category until we get close to the but that's kind of a common theme. Like once you start getting to the couple final levels of any percent in this game, you want a good idea of, okay, I need to collect a lot more this time around or something.
Yep.
Now
And there's
off
very
into
few
the-
levels that we really collect all the gems in, so you're never like completely, losing a run because of missing some gems.
Yeah.
Now we're off into the final Peacekeeper level ice cavern. Very different from the other levels. This one's, well, obviously ice, where the other ones were more like desert almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very different in theme, and I guess in this category I wouldn't say it, but in the 120% category, basically the 100% completion category for this game, it's definitely a step up in difficulty. But this one, Dry Canyon and Clifftown, they both have really hard tricks. So I guess I wouldn't say that is the case for any percent. This one's fairly straightforward, relatively speaking.
I'd agree.
Yeah, you have pretty good experience with any percent.
Sure.
Yeah, no, you do. You've probably been playing it more consistently than
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been hard recently.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about movement and stuff. So 2 different ways that you things. There's charging and flaming. Of course, most of the time we're going to be charging because it's fast. But then also you'll see flames come out, and they're sort of like a cone shape that the flame goes out, and it's always directly from Spyro's face, and that actually plays a big part in how you aim and move around. There are some enemies. Most smaller enemies can be charged. Most larger enemies have to be flamed. You can't charge through them. You'll bonk off of them. Kind of like these silver guys here, except these ones are kind of special in that they move back and you still kill them with that. But knowing how to attack each kind of enemy is a big part of how movement works in this. And then sort of a consequence of that, there's also 2 different kinds of gem containers, primary ones at least. There are metal chests and baskets. Metal chests you have to charge through because a flame doesn't melt metal necessarily, so kind of makes sense. And then baskets are just wood, so you can flame them and they go away. You can also charge wooden baskets though. And a very huge part of the optimization of this game is what's called flame charging. So if you charge through a basket or chest, the gem will automatically home in to Spyro, so you don't have to go over the gem. It sort of does a popping animation when it comes out of whatever it was in, and then lands on the ground, and Sparks might pick it up for you. Hopefully, he sometimes doesn't. If you flame a chest, it does not automatically home in, so it'll just pop out, land on the ground, and then you have to wait for Sparks. So a mechanic called flame charging is where you do exactly what it says. You flame and then you charge, and because Spyro's flame makes the cone shape in front of his face, and it actually stays flat when you're charging, if you start charging as the flame hits the basket, it will think that you charged through it even though you didn't, which will make the gem automatically home in. And that gets used a whole lot just to sort of cut corners, because like I said, your flame is a cone, so it has a much larger area, so you can like just barely graze a basket with your flame and be charging and have the gem home in.
Oh, for sure. One thing that's really not quite apparent when you first start running or play this game casually is how much manipulate the flame to do different things. Like one of the big things that people talk about when they reminisce about this game is how difficult the thieves are in this, but by kind of taking advantage of certain things like flame charging, they actually are a lot more manageable.
For sure. A lot of optimization as well is knowing how gems pop out of enemies. So like these big I don't even know what you call them, mammoths, I guess that's the right word.
Oh yeah, there was a TV show. This is very unrelated. There's a TV show called Maggie and the Beast. So, like Nitroff, a person that does tasks and runs Spyro games, basically started calling them ferocious beasts because and then the little guys that ride them every so often, he calls those Maggies.
Nice. Yeah, so the gems pop out of different enemies in different ways, and knowing how that's going to happen means that you can sort of position Spyro to go through the gem or have the gem automatically fall onto you, and that saves time of having to wait for the gem to land on the ground and then Sparks to pick it up, because Sparks won't just like grab things in midair. It has to be on the ground for him to go pick it up.
Yeah, so right there we had a super out of they just didn't put collision, and followed by a thief that we kind of do some quick movement with a flame charge and jump in the air, and that's kind of the one that we kind of go for, and if we miss it, then we have a but that out of bounds is very easy to do. As long as you know generally where to fly, you can pretty much pick it up and give it a shot. It's pretty cool.
Onto high caves, a very annoying level.
Yeah.
Used to
I'm
me.
seeing stuff about is it my mic that's cutting out?
I think it might be.
Oh snap. Well, I'm sorry about that. If it's a real big problem, you might need to hold down the fort with commentary, but
Yeah, no problem.
It's not terrible. Like,
oh, okay.
I think if you could just like maybe try to like talk, like just try to like kind of delay your talking, it should be fine. I think.
Alrighty.
So this world in particular, we've already seen it a fair bit, but it'll come up more times in this world. There are these green wizard enemies. They aren't the druids. One of them's the druids, and I never remember which one. But they move the platforms, and it sort of is one of the few instances of cycles that really come up in this game. That first start of the level where you sort of go up and spiral, then get the dragon. If you do it with good movement, you can get an early cycle on where those wizards are moving those floating columns and save probably like 5 or 6 seconds because you don't have to do a slow glide across.
Yep. And okay, we're good. So this is some good movement.
Like caves.
Basically, yeah, we're using the super long as we can to collect a bunch of stuff and get to the next point we needed. That's called bike caves. I think you can kind of get an idea of what's going on there. It just looks like these Spyros speeding along on a bike. Very tough movement. You're basically using scenery and just a bunch of stuff to try and collect as much as you can while still maintaining that supercharged speed.
Yeah, taking the supercharge all the way through there, it's likely that you'll miss a few gems, but you also save like 15 to 20 seconds over having to charge through the level normally, so definitely worthwhile.
Yep.
There was a question in chat asking about like, is it possible to run this game the same way on the remake, or are there significant differences?
So I am probably not the best to comment on that, but I think for the most part, since this game's not, there's not any huge glitches or skips, you're going around and you're reaching the requirements that are set by the game. Everything's pretty similar. Just on a routing standpoint, it's probably a little different.
Yeah, the level order is very similar for sure.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in the remake, we said this during Crash as well, but Spyro 1 is very different from Spyro 2 and 3. The movement is completely redone for 2, and then changed a little bit for 3 again. But in the remasters, they decided to make them more consistent, and so there's limitations in this game. You still can't hover in the remake of but if you try to jump while you're charging in this game, you get a very low jump. But that's not true in the remake, so you get a full jump on those. And that makes a lot of the platforming that we do in the speedrun quite a bit easier. Pretty much any time that there's a tight charge glide jump like the one that we saw back in Dry Canyon, it's completely free on the remakes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like the Ice Cavern one where you get to the last dragon, you can just charge it. You don't even have to glide.
It's insane. Because those are some pretty tough things. So
Yeah.
wow.
Triple treat? No triple treat.
Nah. So there's
That's
those 3 spring chests there. We can get them all in one go, but we're not going to actively like stop and do stuff to try and go for it. So I got 2 there. That's good enough for me.
Now we're on to another flight level, Krystal Flight. The start of this one sucks. I really don't like it.
Yeah.
It's fun when it works, but there's some lag in it and some weird hitboxes and things.
Yeah.
You're sort of gonna immediately start and do a dive down left to go through an arch, and then there's these planes that are flying by, and you want to get them all in one order, like back to back to back. So there's one that gets done right there, and then the rest of these are going to be done in a line. And being able to move up and down and control your flame, like we were saying before, it's a very important skill.
Yeah.
To hit all of them in a row. And I think you missed one. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Yep. That's a pretty easy one to recover from. It's like, I don't honestly think you lose any time missing.
No, that one's super clean.
Yeah. Since you're zigzagging up and down, the Norks that are in the plane, when you flame the plane, they actually shoot out, and sometimes they can block your flame and save one of their friends. So that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. Coming out of this flight is also very fun. There's a thing called Boldar's Skip. Boldar is the dragon outside of the Krystal Flight that you might have seen when we came in and went around the portal. The reason that we went behind it is to do some interesting experimentation with the portal, I guess. The portal only starts loading the level and deloading the homeworld when it is the center of the portal is visible on screen. So by doing some camera manipulation as Spyro goes through it, you can actually do a glide, and the game won't deload the homeworld before you hit the dragon pedestal, and it will play that dragon cutscene and give you the dragon as you're entering the level, which means that you get to skip the animation and cutscene as you come out, which saves, I think, like almost 8 seconds.
Yep, it's almost 7 exactly.
Welcome back, Rob.
So you gotta love it when your laptop crashes in the middle of a very important stream.
Always.
We roll with those. Gotta roll with them.
And I missed Magic Crafters. That really upsets me.
Pretty much, yeah. This is my favorite room in the whole game when it goes well. Specifically the second half of it. Like I said, there's these moving platforms, and you can time this right to get just a really clean double charge glide, and it feels so good to do.
Yep, it's a really cool spot.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's all.
The first actual boss we're fighting, I think, right?
Yep, and we actually take him out too. So he gives some pretty good gems. Oh, he's actually hanging out there.
What's kind of nice about bosses in Spyro 1, it's different in the other 2 games, but in these, they're just normal levels. You can just play them. They have gems. You play through them like you would anything else. A lot of times they have dragons in them. It's very different than a lot of games that, have like a separate arena for a boss fight or something. And I feel like it makes it a bit more immersive, at least to me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
On to Beastmakers. This is where we really start skipping levels and stuff because we don't need to play them.
Yep, we actually go right past the first level in this world. There's Village. There's actually a route for the second place run of this game that's only a second behind the world record that uses a route that goes there. But it's actually
record had Terrace Village.
yeah, it's actually like considerably slower. I don't know exactly how much off the top of my head, but
not too much to talk about here. It's just another flight level coming up.
yeah.
Kind of long one.
Yeah, I go for a slightly easier route for this. I need to decide if I'm gonna start practicing the newer, or not newer, but harder one. But this one's consistent enough, and it's still pretty fast. Maybe only a couple seconds slower.
Yeah, it definitely still works.
Yeah.
I do the same one. I guess one thing that's kind of interesting about flights is that they are actually momentum based and like sort of based in reality. So you have like kinetic versus potential energy. If you're down lower, you'll move faster, and if you're up higher, you move slower as like a transfer of energy. So ideally in these, you want to stay as low as possible. But then you have things like this where the planes are up top, so you kind of have to go slow. So kind of the routing involves optimizing where you are vertically in the levels as well. Very interesting mechanic to me.
Oh yeah. And they did that in the Reignited trilogy too, I think, right?
I believe so. I don't think it's quite the same, but it's definitely something similar.
Coming up, we have a couple pretty tough levels. Misty Bog first, and then Treetops.
Alright, I officially have video, I got it.
Hooray.
Oh, nice.
We made it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Just goes to show, desktop is definitely superior to laptop, so... Alright. So, on to Misty Bog. Very interesting level.
Yep, there's the enemies in this level really ramp up in difficulty compared, like, for pretty much every level before this, most enemies are pushovers. These ones can be pretty tough.
This is really the only level with enemies that are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least for any.
That's putting it nicely.
Yeah. So these frogs can actually hit you from farther away than you can possibly hit them. So if you just get unlucky, you'll just get hit and there's no possible escape. Kinda sucks.
Yeah, and they're
trees eat you and waste time.
Yep. And the frogs kind of hop around. I don't know what sort of cycle or what it is. Seemingly random, but there's probably some sort of pattern to it based off of like maybe a global cycle or something, but
Yeah.
it's random enough that like I haven't pinpointed, okay, yeah, I'm expecting them to be here or something.
Mm-hmm.
So learning to kind of deal with what you're given when there's a bunch of frogs around is pretty important. Especially when it comes to the last little section of this level.
Guantanamo Bay, as
Yeah.
it's known.
Possibly the worst room in Spyro 1.
In the series.
There's just... How many enemies are even in the room? Like 10?
Yeah, I would say easily.
At least. Maybe 12. It's a lot of enemies in a very condensed room. If you make it through that room fast without getting hit once, that is amazing.
Yeah. And I was talking earlier about the two different ways of killing enemies, charging and flaming. There's also the armored sword guys as well that you can't flame, but you want to be flaming the frogs because you don't want to get too close to them. So you're just going back and forth, like flaming a frog, charging an armored guy, flaming another frog, charging an armored guy. It's great.
Because of the frog's tongues, you're not really able to charge them effectively. So.
There was an example of getting hit from just out of range. It did a flame to hit the frog, and it just didn't get far enough, but the tongue did.
Yeah, they're messing around today. I don't want to say I've never seen that sort of pattern before, but
That was pretty different, yeah.
yeah, very unique one. They were all kind of positioned in really the best spot for them to really mess me up.
Yeah, they're still getting you. I mean, this room is certainly a difficult one. There's a reason it has the name it does. But eventually we get through it. Get actually a lot of the gems in Misty Bog. 432 out of 500. That's a very significant amount.
Yeah, it's surprising how fast the gems are in that level, especially being such an annoying level. It kind of sucks that there's so many in it.
Yeah.
But it's like 3.5 minutes for 400 gems, which is a very, very good rate.
And now we're on to possibly my favorite level in this whole game, Treetops.
Oh, yeah, it's a great level. We're going to start off with a bit of a race here with the screen guy. So we want to get to the dragon before we want to collect the dragon, and we don't want to actually, but we want to get to it before he gets to it, basically. And if you mess up at all, he's gonna beat you, and that causes a little bit of a thing coming up here, where he doesn't automatically teleport to this island off in the distance, and you just have to wait for him to get there.
Yeah, so that charge and glide that he just did is not intended. There's a whole path of ramps that you're supposed to follow along to the right. But it turns out that if you just hold the jump long enough off the end of that ramp and get a little bit extra speed by jumping into it, you get more than high enough to just do a nice glide over here. And that easily, compared to like the intended way of doing that, is like 15 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, if I had to do it the intended way, sure if I would remember how to do it.
Same.
I think I remember the way to do it intended, but it's been a while.
There's actually a few different backups that aren't really backups. There's like alternative, slower ways of doing it.
Yeah, I know the way I do it is go off the first ramp, hold right, go off the last ramp, and then you go. Which is like maybe 5 seconds slower, but still like 25 seconds faster than the intended way.
I missed it. Did you get the red thief?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So normally that red thief would end up on this last platform, and we're going to try to do a skip to get up off this little thing with some physics. Nice.
I
one
love
chest.
that skip. That is such a good skip.
Yeah, it's fairly precise too. It's you sort of have to angle yourself properly off that like broken tree part, and hopefully not bonk. So that was very well done.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Supercharging in this game it's unfortunate because it's one of the coolest things, but they didn't quite have it all worked out. So you can kind of get some weird stuff where your supercharge just gets cut randomly based off of scenery, or I don't know, just because the game doesn't like you at that time. So it can cause some headaches, but when it's done well or when you get it to work, it's really cool looking.
Now we're in Metalhead, another really good boss. Honestly, this game has some very interesting bosses. Every single one is unique, and I like it. But I do not, or I don't think we're fighting Metalhead, though, are we?
Oh, we definitely are, because there's so many gems. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there were a decent amount of gems, I just wasn't sure if it was worth it.
Oh, yeah. He gives some good stuff, and then there's a good amount of gems kind of locked behind him from enemies. Oh, yeah.
This is another instance of cycles as well. The way that we fight Metalhead is by breaking his like Tesla coils, I guess is probably the best way to describe them.
Yeah,
energy columns.
Yeah, probably Tesla coils.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And this is going to be the last dragon. We collect one in the last one, but
yeah,
that's kind of a weird circumstance.
Yeah, you're required to get that one in order to actually unlock the final level, but this is the last optional dragon we could have gotten, so...
Yeah.
So from here on out, it's a gem grind.
So these pillars turn red on set cycles that are localized, so it's like where you are in the level, and when you hit that determines the cycle that you'll get, and you can only hit them when they're green, otherwise they hurt you. So by knowing roughly what the cycle is, you can pretty much charge straight through them and know that you aren't going to get hit.
Yep, that went well. So we got the cycle that we...
So I don't know if you guys talked about this at all while I was offline, but do we want to talk about the difference between the original and the Reignited trilogy?
We've talked a bit about it in terms of movement and such. Yeah.
Okay, like I said, I was away for like 10 minutes.
Yep, I think one big thing.
Was mentioned.
I think one big thing that you would notice is in this game, Spyro kind of controls like a race car, so he's going forward, and it's very hard for him to like move right or left when he's charging. That's a very difficult thing to kind of get used to when you're running or playing the game, and it's honestly kind of clunky. They improved on that quite a bit with the Reignited trilogy, but it is a whole different type of movement. So that's why there's a pretty big split with runners of each type of or version of the game.
So now we're off to Dreamweavers, and this is basically just a cleanup cleaned up world where we're just entering Jacques, getting enough gems to get to 6,000, and then leaving.
Yep.
And I didn't see what your gem total was.
I'll see when we get to Icy. It's like pretty okay.
Oh yeah, we did Icy Fight too. I forgot.
I didn't actually look at the number, but you won around like 53, 54 going in here.
Going into
Going into Icy, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to be somewhere where you're like, where when you leave Icy Flight, you're about at 5650, maybe
even 5700. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just kind of go from there. So yeah, I'll be at 5633, which there's some gems before Jacques itself. So I'm pretty used to that. I think I know what I'll be collecting to wrap up everything, and hopefully I won't over gem too much.
Yeah,
you got a pretty good number for sure.
Yeah, I'd say about average. So.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. This is another flight level. It's one of my favorites, honestly. There's two cycles that you can get. Well, you can get tons of cycles, but two kind of ideal cycles. If you mess up the first half, you can get a backup cycle, which is actually still pretty fast. So that's kind of something nice to have in a. If you mess up in most of the other ones, you're losing a bunch of time.
Yeah.
And as we get that last train, we kind of dive bomb so that we can get that skip.
That being said, after we finish up with Jacques, we have some very interesting and massive skips in the final world.
Yes, we do.
Are very. One of them is very difficult. I know this was the case at least a few years ago. I doubt it's the case now, but when I was first introduced to Spyro speedrunning, this trick was described to me as there's only 10 people who can do it. So.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
probably still pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, but we still have a few minutes until then, but Twilight Harbor skip is no joke. And it's a shame that it's right at the end of the run, because you can have a really solid run, but you don't get Twilight Harbor skip, then, well, rip run.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a trick that you can reset pretty quickly to try it a couple times, but usually if you have it in your run and you're trying to a couple tries.
Yeah. So, yeah, as a reminder, you need 6,000 gems total. I think he needs about 350 here in Jacques.
Yep, 352, I believe is the number.
Okay. So, as soon as he gets the 200 from Jacques, I think that'll be enough.
Yeah, I'm like more than enough.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So.
And it's 175, just so you know.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, that's gotten me a few
What
times
did I
not
say,
remembering
200?
that.
Yeah. So if you do start running this game, remember it's 175.
Yeah. I do a lot more 120 than any percent Spyro 1, so
Yeah.
I don't pay too much attention to how many gems I get.
Oh yeah, no, it's understandable. It's very easy to mess up. I definitely had my share of before
Yeah.
I
But
took
now
the
that
time and actually checked.
Now that you mention it, I feel like I've definitely messed up an any percent run before because I thought it was 200 some.
Yeah. So we have to collect that dragon. Well, we don't necessarily have to, but that's a whole other story. There's this big trick that you can skip it. Not going to bother talking about it. If you basically the way that this last world works is you have to get to the end of the level portal or vortex before you can get to the next level. And another requirement is that you have to collect that dragon at the center. So if you don't and you get to the end of this level, the next dragon head won't open and you can't go until you collect that dragon.
Yep, so to make this level go fast, we bounce off of Barrel Guy, another form of a proxy, I believe, right?
Yeah, pretty similar.
And then we're able to skip straight to the end of the level. And now, instead of doing an in-game skip for Twilight Harbor, we're gonna attempt to...
Holy crap, okay. Sorry.
Wow.
Wow.
Second
Yes,
try.
things went well.
Second try, yeah. So That was Twilight Harbor Skip's second try, which is incredible.
Ooh,
We didn't
okay.
even get time to explain it, but it is so precise on everything. You have to run the exact amount, jump at the exact point, glide at an exact point. It is an extremely difficult skip, so getting that second try in any run, let alone a marathon run, that is
that was super ideal. So I can kind of give a little bit of an idea of what you need to do. Basically, there's some movement that you can do when you're like real close to an edge, with like a couple different movement things. I'm not going to go into super detail about it because the run's almost over. But basically, you can get a ton of height, and getting that height is almost frame perfect. And then you have to hit the dragon head to get that little flop that you might have seen. You have to hit it at a pretty precise point. It's not pixel perfect, but it's pretty close. The run's about to end, so I'm trying to wrap this up. Time.
It's on the flame here. Yep. There it is.
But yeah, so it's super, basically almost frame perfect, pixel perfect. So I'm really happy that was second try. That was really good. The rest of the run is kind of silly.
What about
Still a very solid run.
And yeah, unfortunately, the tragic part of the story, Spyro went to give a smooch to Nat, and unfortunately, he realized he was going to flame him instead, and this killed him instead. It's very tragic.
Well, Spyro seems to get over it pretty well by the end of Spyro 2.
Oh, he moves on, yeah.
Yeah.
Moves on with
It
his
wasn't
life.
his first
Yeah,
love.
you gotta move on.
Wasn't
It was
his
about the
first-
journey that he made.
Right, it's not about the end result. It's all about the journey.
Anyway, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for playing. I think I may have split a little bit late, but I think you were around a 42 or 42:30, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yep. So that,
Something around there.
and we do SDA timings. That's about 22 seconds on that, so it's probably about a 2 flat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
that's
close.
another thing about Spyro 1 is official Spyro 1 timing still starts on first movement.
Yep.
I think that's a carryover from the SDA times, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yep.
so. But regardless, that was a really solid run, huh?
Thank you so much.
I think
Wish
Thank
I
you
could have
guys for
said
putting
the
this
whole
on.
thing.
I want to say that was the best showing of Twilight Harbor Skip that has ever been done on GDQ. I don't.
Oh, it's gotta be. I highly
Thank you. I appreciate that. That blew me away. Of course, you could tell by my reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. So thank you guys so much. This has been a great event. 1545 is a great community, and they have tons of events and things coming up in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, GDQ HOTFIX staff, for putting this on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for playing. Real quick, I just want to let everybody know, remind people that these broadcasts, like this showcase relay, they are in part funded thanks to viewers like yourselves. We appreciate you watching and supporting the event. Just watching and spreading the word is always great. If you can also help us out by maybe subscribing or cheering, that also helps us out as well. So anything you're able to give always helps us out. So thank you very much. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Faulty and Rob. They're gonna talk about what we've seen so far and what is coming up next.
Yeah, we're nearing the end, unfortunately. 3 games down, just one Rareware game to go.
Yep. Banjo-Tooie any percent coming up next with Garage Door Opener. You might have seen his run Banjo-Tooie at SGDQ 2018 last year. It was actually the opening game, which is always super cool.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, so nice sort of rerun, not rerun, but you know what I mean, like coming back, seeing it again. Oh, it's super cool. Very interesting run overall. Pretty
Yeah,
fascinating.
Banjo-Tooie is a very interesting game where you have a lot of minor skips here and there, and then all at once we go from barely scratching the surface of this game to we're in the final boss, and it is a very stressful final boss, which is why we thought it would be a very fitting end to this whole 4-game relay. So,
Yeah, for sure.
So, as a reminder, though, to those of you who have not been or sticking around the entire time, this is we are the 1545, which is the Sprashfecta which is 642% total. The Rareware 301, 301%. And the Super Mario 602. 602 plus 301 plus 642 equals 1545. 13 games, all 100% in a relay race. We've done this 2 years now. Our third one will be this July 12th.
Yep.
And signups will be in about 3 weeks.
May 19th, they will open up.
Yep, so if you're interested, you can join our Discord. Keep an eye on our site and Twitter. And yeah, we also have the Invitational series going on.
Yes.
We're about 2/3 of the way through it now. We've seen 8 amazing races, I believe, and
I think so.
5 to go. Something like that. Next week, we will be having a Spyro 3 117% race, as well as a Super Mario 64 120-star race. The weekend after that, I believe, is Banjo-Tooie 100%, as well as Crash 100%. And then finally, we'll be ending off everything with a nice Super Mario Galaxy 2 242 race. It's going to be a 9-hour race ending all of the Invitational. It'll be epic.
Very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, without further ado, I think we're ready to go ahead and bring in our last runner of the day, which is going to be Garage Door Opener. So I'm going to go ahead and move him in now. So, Garage Door Opener, welcome.
Hello.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah, I mean,
Of course.
That might be the best intro yet.
There you go.
I was just about to take a drink of water when I jumped in here, so I had to quickly say something.
Well, sorry we took you by surprise, but
Yeah, so without further ado, I believe we are ready to go. So, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
So, I'll give you a countdown then.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, here we go. So, first thing I need to do is jump over a cutscene trigger real quick.
yep. So right off the bat, we're already going right into some very massive skips. The skips, I want to say it's like a minute-long cutscene or so.
It's a 14-second long cutscene.
14. Jeez, Banjo. I'll say this right off the bat. Out of all 13 games in the 1545, Banjo-Tooie is definitely the one I know the least.
Yeah, it's a pretty large cutscene trigger that like covers the entire entrance from Spyro Mountain to the rest of it. But if you jump over the corner by the rock there, you don't get it. So you skip talking to Klungo. We call it the Klungo cutscene skip.
That being said, I do know with this Klungo boss, it's a random fight, either red bottle, green, or blue. I forgot which one's optimal. But...
Yeah. Ooh. Forgot to cancel my shoes going into the fight. But yeah, blue potion is the one I got first, and blue potion is actually the worst one to get in a marathon setting.
Well,
because when Klungo splits into his multiple clones for the blue potion, the clones kind of run around randomly. There's no order. And in a run, you would run away and then kind of take a YOLO egg shot and just kind of hope it hits. But but for this, I kind of gotta stand right up close and hit him. So not the best luck to have in a no reset situation, but it's probably the slowest one to get first.
yeah, it is what it is, but bad RNG comes with speedrunning, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
all we can do is make do with what we got.
Yeah.
Real quick, I wanted to address the relay and the timer thing. It's come up a few times in chat. It's been answered, but just to clarify on voice as well. This is a 4-game relay race. We're doing them back to back to back to back, and just due to some technical things with doing an event like this, we have to take short breaks in between them to get set up. So the timer is continuing as a relay timer would. It is a single run, which is why we're starting at 2:15:35. So you can sort of base the time for this run off of that. And also, one thing that we didn't mention in that break was the other times of this race that we've had. We started with Crash Bandicoot 1 with White Paws, who got a 42-44, very good run, followed by Super Mario 64 by Paracusia with 50-13, and then we just finished Spyro 1 any percent with Hummelden, who got a 42-30. So that's how we got to this time on the timer. It is correct that it is up at 2.5 hours now.
Yep. Now I get to enjoy a nice... This is like a minute-long cutscene, I know.
Yeah.
So, nice little break, I guess. Well, or I guess a break for me and Faulty. GDO's barely started, but...
Yeah, Tooie any percent is a fairly cutscene-heavy game. The loading zones take a little bit to go through. There's a lot of them, but then in between, like especially right at the very beginning of the game, there's a bunch of cutscenes where you just kind of have to sit through, and that'll continue through kind of the middle and the end. But right now, the split I'm on, there's a bunch of really precise beak busts that I need to do. To get on top of the red house, I did that while Faulty was going over the marathon a little bit. The roof of the house has a treble clef on it, and because of the route, we need those notes in order to learn Bill Drill from the first level we go to. And the rim of the house is just high enough so that you can make it up with a really like well-timed beak bust. And I had a little bit of trouble with it, but third try isn't so bad.
Yeah, third isn't bad. Let's see how the other two go.
The next one to get up to plateau early is a lot less lenient. It's still a pretty fine beak bust, but there's no weird change in like kind of the height based on like where I'm standing. The setup I use should work just fine.
So Banjo-Tooie any percent is basically the quest for getting the... what are they called? The cuckoo eggs? I don't know what they're called. Clock eggs? Something like that.
Yeah, Clockwork Kazooie eggs.
Clockwork, thank you.
Yeah. Here's the last beak bust, GGM early, where I have to beak bust through a really thin... There we go. Really thin line in the entrance to the level.
And that was found, what, a year ago or so?
That was found last May, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know, relatively speaking, that was fairly recent. Or at least I know it was recent enough in the past 2 years, because I know I was around when it
Yeah.
was.
It was found by Captain Cole when he was playing around with the game. I remember doing practice for my GDQ run last summer, and I was just practicing the game, playing through it, and then Cole decided he wanted to do some attempts and stopped doing them pretty quick, and then he started just playing around with the game and found it by accident.
So another skip found at a GDQ, huh?
It was
earlier. Someone else in
Yeah.
one of the other games was saying that there was a skip found at. I think it was a Crash game back in the Crash run. One of the skips was found at GDQ as well.
Okay, I accidentally tried to cancel my shoes at the beginning of the waterfall instead of running off, and it gave me a really awkward camera angle. So I had to kind of estimate how far I had to fall down to the waterfall. Taking that damage is kind of necessary because taking damage otherwise is pretty slow. So luckily I managed to hit it. I didn't take 1 damage at Klungo 1 to be able to do a fast death warp off of the cowboy here. Oh, and I would have got it too. But
Oh well. So yeah,
Yeah.
this run uses a bit of death abuse here and there. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of death warping in Banjo-Tooie because unlike Banjo-Kazooie, you don't lose your notes when you die in Banjo-Tooie. And when you die, you just enter the level from the last place you entered, and so it's a really easy way to get around. A couple places we need to save and quit because we need to leave the level or something like that, and so it's just faster faster than waiting out the alternative.
So we're using a Globo to become a detonator here, and very soon we're going to be starting to set up the biggest skip in this whole run.
Yeah. The delayed cutscene warp is the glitch, which is going to take me to the end of the game, and it's got a couple parts to set it up. And the first one is I need to blow up a TNT barrel in the fuel depot here, which will eventually let me free an alien saucer into the third world we go into, Witchy World. But I'll explain more about DCW later on when we go to hit the button.
Yeah.
After Witchy World, there's not a whole lot that happens other than just kind of moving from area to area. So, and there's not a lot of tricks because after Mayhem Temple is where all the hard stuff in the game is.
Yeah. So for now, we're just really gathering notes and a few jiggies, with the goal being to get Clockwork Eggs unlocked, because we need Clockwork Eggs in order to defeat Hag 1.
Yeah, Clockwork Eggs require 315 notes to learn, and in order to get there, we need to go to JRL, Jolly Roger's Lagoon, in order to learn Talon Torpedo. And
that's 14 jiggies, I want to say?
Yeah, so the run will
Wow.
collect 14 jiggies and 300.
I'm proud of myself for remembering that. So as you can see, we already got 4. A very unique thing about Banjo-Tooie is that a decent amount of the run is just the final boss. Like, what is it, like a quarter of the run?
The final boss fight, including the setup to get into it, is probably pretty close to 8-9 minutes.
Yeah. And you figure in a 40-minute or so run, that's a very significant amount.
Yeah. So what I did as a detonator back there at the waterfall was if you're holding up against certain ledges in the game as the detonator while you're floating in water, you can rise out of the water for the duration of your detonation, and the detonator levitation is used there just to get the jiggy, because otherwise we would have to use springy step shoes or a clockwork. But since the goal of the game is to get clockworks and then immediately go beat the game, we can't come back. And it is a really fast jiggy because it's just kind of out in the open.
Yeah, most of the jiggy... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, this run tries to get as many jiggies as possible that are just kind of sitting out in the open, but without having to, you know, sit through long expanses. But unfortunately with this route, we have to get a jiggy that is RNG based in Mayhem Temple, and so I'm hoping for good luck on that one for the sake of the marathon here.
Yeah, we always want good luck.
Yeah.
And since we got the bad luck out of the way at the very beginning, I think we're due for some good.
Something that I really like about this game's speedrun is that a lot of the things are entirely reliant on like extremely convenient Ooh. Okay. That was that was scary. Extremely convenient distances between objects. Like in Generator Cavern, when I did the backflip up to the ladder there, that was just like really, really convenient that the ladder happens to be just in range of the backflip. Same thing with Plateau early. Like being able to backflip up to Plateau is something that's just a really convenient that it's just barely in reach. And it's so different that on the PAL version of Banjo-Tooie, you can't actually do that backflip, because on the PAL version of the game, your jump height is slightly smaller, and because of that tiny little change, you can't actually jump up there. there's a series of jumps in Mayhem Temple to climb up some pillars in order to get a Jiggy, and it's the same kind of thing. The pillars are placed just the convenient distance away, and they're like the perfect height to be able to just barely make it onto each one.
Yep.
So every time I learn a move from Jam Jars, there's a small chance that he can close the silo early and bonk his head, and it's a funny little thing that happens, but it's also really
funny
annoying.
and casual play. In speedruns, it's actually funny. It's a joke on the runner because it's random, nothing you can do about it, and it can cost, what, 4 seconds or so?
Yeah, it's around 4 to 5 seconds per bonk.
I don't know what the actual odds of it happening are, but...
I think it's 12%.
Yeah, I can believe that. I was gonna guess
silo.
somewhere around 10, so...
A lot of people like swear that it's higher percent on certain ones. Like a lot of runners will tell you like, oh yeah, bill drill, fire eggs, like all the time, but they're all the same.
I think it's just one of those things where you tend to notice it when it happens and not when it doesn't, so...
Yeah.
So now we got to do one of the most interesting parts of Banjo-Tooie, which is solving puzzles.
Yeah,
So
in Banjo...
really good at solving these puzzles.
In Banjo-Kazooie, the puzzles solve themselves, but in this game you have to actually pick up the pieces, and it's fun for like a second, but there's a lot of little things that you have to think about when doing the puzzles. And 91 isn't that great of a time for the Mayhem Temple puzzle, but a lot of the time like you get from doing the puzzles has like so much to do with how you route putting in the pieces, whether or not you can control the hand, you know, obviously getting the pieces into the, you know, into where they go fast. And then on top of that, the pieces can just split up in such an area that you have to like cross the puzzle a million times with your hand. And it's really sad to see that, because it's just like you look at the puzzle splitting up and you see all the pieces pop out of the left side of the puzzle and sit on the right side of the screen, and you're just like,
So it's a truly random placement. It's not like
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
That makes
I think
There's no patterns
I think
as far
this
as
game,
anyone
oh,
has
sorry.
seen.
I was just gonna say, I think this game, more than most of the other 1545 games, except for maybe Sunshine, has a decent amount of RNG.
Yeah. So
But
we had enough puzzle pieces to solve the second puzzle, but we're actually going to leave because when you don't have enough puzzle pieces to do the next puzzle, the door shuts behind you and you get a little cutscene. And so because the next time we enter, we need to solve a puzzle anyway, we're just going to do it then.
So now we're in the actual first level of the game. And we're trying to clip into this door
Yeah.
using a flight trick.
Yeah. My initial beak bomb to the door was a little sloppy, so there we go, that should work. Okay, good. Basically what you need to do is there's a crack at the very top of the door which you can beak bomb through, but if you don't beak bomb fast enough, you clip out of the vines and bonk, and if you're in the wrong spot, then you can't like you can't aim at the door properly, and that's what happened the first time. I got stuck on the right side of the door, and I couldn't adjust myself fast enough because the door has a little corner which has a groove in it, and if you get stuck on the right side of that, it's really hard to turn around, especially that fast. And then the second time I did it, I tried for a quick backup, but I didn't get it.
Now, an interesting thing to note about this game is, unlike pretty much every other 1545 game, we didn't exactly start on a fresh file.
Yeah, the Banjo-Tooie runs are done on a manipulated file, so the Jinjos are correct, because in this game there are 9 Jinjo families which you need to collect 1 to 9 Jinjos in order to complete. So the white family and the orange family both only have 2 Jinjos, or have 1 and 2 Jinjos respectively in it. And collecting them is really fast. And so we have a special file that's set up to have 1 white Jinjo in MT, and both orange Jinjos are here as well. And so we can get 2 more Jiggies really easy.
And to counteract that, in actual Banjo-Tooie any percent runs, or any run that uses a Shinjo minute, I believe it's 3.77 seconds are added onto the end. Because that's basically how long it would take to start up a new file, as opposed to continuing a file. So it's just a nice way to get rid of the most RNG, because otherwise you would be starting a run, 15 minutes, it's like, okay, did I get the 2% chance?
Yeah.
And it would be brutal to run, so...
Yeah,
definitely, I think that was a good call for the 2E community to do.
With the old route, for any percent back before DCW was found, there was, you only really needed a white Jinjo in Jade Snake. You didn't need anything else. And there's 7 patterns, I think, that have just a white Jinjo there.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Ooh, that was really close. But with the current route, you need to have all the other ones, and the rest of the categories use this file as well, because all the yellow Jinjo family is in a really good spot as well. Actually, I don't think that one matters so much. It's more the orange Jinjos.
Yeah, I know the
orange
white
Jinjos are important.
Most important. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. So because of everything that happened to me with the beak bombs to get into Jade Snake early, I'm going to have to pick up some feathers somewhere else. And now we're at prison codes. So this is a 1 in 3 chance of getting this on the first try. Okay, on to the second code. And it's just a pain to have to put them in. Onto the third code, I guess.
Oh, no.
So I got the worst luck possible for the code to open the door. There's only 3 codes, and so it's not that bad to put them in, but it's just sucks getting third try. And this is where a lot of any percent runs end, because you make it through the game, you play well, you do this, you do that, and then you get to the prison code and you have a 1 in 3 chance of kind of keeping a run going.
Another interesting thing about this game, which we just saw, is that unlike a lot of 3D games, this game, all the levels are interconnected between each other. So we just went from Mayhem Temple?
Mayhem Temple to Glitter Gulch Mine,
to Glitter Gulch Mine.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting way of routing, and you really see this routing in 100% Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah. Not all the levels are connected to each other, but
a good amount are.
Yeah, every level is connected to at least one other level in some way that you can usually go to. And hang on a sec, I can't talk for a sec. Okay. I just had to
nailed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen enough runs to know that is not easy. So.
Yeah, the jumps to I thought the jump to the third pillar was gonna fail 100%, but because when I turned my camera a little too far, but we made it. But yeah, almost every level you can just go to another level. Like Mayhem Temple is connected to Pterodactyland, Hellfire Peaks, and Glitter Gulch Mine, and it goes on like that. The only exception is Cloud Cuckoo Land. It's connected to HFP, Hellfire Peaks, by because you drop an ice cube from the sky into a pool of boiling water. But which sounds really grim. But you can't actually visit any other level from Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Some of this game actually can be very grim, actually.
Yeah, when you think about a lot of the things you're doing, it's like, ooh, that's
Yeah, it's like Banjo is not really a hero. He's like more like an anti-hero.
So now that we have 14 jiggies, we don't need any more, and so now we need to open the rest of the game. So there's 3 puzzles in a row that I have to do here, and this will open up the rest of the level. So first I'm going to be opening up the level that I've already been to.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot just skip this puzzle. That would be really convenient, but sadly, there's nothing you can do there.
Yeah,
And
all the
after
puzzles
every
have
puzzle,
to be done in a row.
yeah, and on top of doing 3 puzzles after every single one, it's like a cutscene of varying length. So
yeah, the cutscene after completing a puzzle is like around 40 seconds ish. So
now I know this is a thing in 100%. After we do the 3rd puzzle, are we going to be resetting the console or?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need to leave Jiggy Wiggy's temple to go to somewhere else in the Isle of Hags, it's a lot faster to just reset instead of actually watching the rest of the cutscene and then stepping outside.
Yeah, just because these cutscenes are, you figure, 20 to 30 seconds, whereas rebooting the game can take like 10.
Yeah, so this is a part of the game where if you're on an actual run, it feels bad to lose time here because after, getting a run past Prison Compound, you're out of Mayhem Temple, feels good, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of these RNG puzzles that you have to try and not lose time to, and it's like just
And I mean, GDO is making this look easy, but it's fairly precise lining up the pieces with the holes. I mean,
yeah, the hardest part to me about doing puzzles is moving Banjo's hand, because the hand moves kind of corresponding to how much lag you're seeing from the puzzles. So if you play Banjo-Tooie on an emulator or something like that, you'll see the puzzles are extremely fast, and I think they're really fast on Xbox too. Like, you feel like you're putting them in fast motion, but Banjo's hand kind of sometimes moves slower across the puzzle, and sometimes it'll immediately just shoot to the other side of the thing when you put in a puzzle piece. And I'm really bad at controlling that when that happens, and so actually getting Banjo's hand to pick up pieces and put them in without all this extra movement of like going back and forth is kind of difficult. The Witchy World puzzle is easily my least favorite puzzle to do in this run, but I got a pretty good, decent time on it. So.
Any particular reason, or?
It's just Banjo's hand moves a lot faster on that one than I feel it does on some of the other ones. And then on top of that, a lot of the puzzle is blue sky sometimes, or like the sand, and it's really hard to tell exactly where your where your pieces are supposed to go when everything looks the same.
Yeah. Kind of bad when you lose a run because you can't solve a jigsaw puzzle, but I'm sure that's happened to just about every BT runner at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between a good puzzle and a bad puzzle is usually around 3 or 4 seconds, so it's not super
certainly
huge.
Not a run killer, but can certainly dampen the mood.
Yeah. So now we're gonna reset out of the puzzle about 3 seconds or so after the game fades to white. I don't actually know the actual time,
Yeah.
but you can reset out and the game auto saves. Banjo-Tooie auto saves every loading zone, so if you go through a loading zone, the game will auto save.
Yep, and it's that auto save feature that plays a big part in the delayed cutscene warp skip as well, correct?
Yes. Sort of.
In a way, yeah.
So now we got to go to Witchy World, which is the most action-packed part of the run. In Witchy World, we just kind of run around the tent collecting the rest of the notes we need. There's still more we need to get later on, but there really isn't anything to do in Witchy World other than collect notes and collect notes and hit the button.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the game, I ran through Bottles' house. Wow. I didn't bait the fruity. At the beginning, I ran through Bottles' house and got some goggles from one of his children, which lets me zoom in and out my first-person camera. And the reason this is important is because in this level, you need to hit a button which is on the other side of the stage from you. And without the goggles, the egg, before it can blow up the switch, leaves your like loaded area, and you can't actually see it blow up. And so if you zoom in the camera, it actually loads that area like fully, so that stuff actually happens. When things aren't on camera, they kind of don't happen in this game, and so that's used a lot in 100% to cycle egg nests that you pass. So if we zoom in, shoot the egg, and then we zoom in, it'll hit the switch. And so now that I've reset the DCW is fully set up and I can activate it. So how this works is there's a special 2-part cutscene that happens in Witchy World, because most cutscenes, when you trigger something, they either happen right away where you're at, or they'll happen somewhere else, and then you'll immediately regain control of Banjo after the cutscene's over. But with the Saucer of Peril cutscene, when you trigger the button, it triggers the cutscene start in Witchy World, and then after that, it'll jump and play the rest of the cutscene in Glitter Gulch Mine of the alien ship going through. And normally the button cutscene would stop there when I hit the button, but because we freed the alien, it will let the rest of the cutscene play, because there's multiple ways that you can free the alien. It just depends on which order you do them in. So when we reset the game, the game autosaves on the second cutscene, the one in Glitter Gulch Mine playing. So the cutscene in Witchy World's happened, and that's been saved, and so, but the other one hasn't happened yet, and it's just kind of stuck there, like half completed. So next time I enter fuel storage, it'll continue playing the cutscene. And then how it usually works is when you hit the button, it'll play the cutscene, it'll go to GGM and play that part of the cutscene, and then it'll put you back to where you were in your last map. And normally that's Witchy World, because that's where you hit the button from. But because we interrupted the cutscene, or delayed the cutscene, we need to... we can load up any cutscene before we go back to Fuel Depot. And the way the game works is it'll say, okay, so we're going to put you back into the last map you were at, which is normally Witchy World, because that's where you triggered the cutscene from. But if we loaded the final boss cutscene, it'll say, okay, I'm just going to put you back into the final boss cutscene.
Yeah. And for those of you who had a hard time following that, trust me, it's a lot easier to understand when you see it.
Yeah.
So we're just collecting the last few notes we need to unlock the clockwork eggs.
While I was talking, I just remembered that I still need to grab red feathers before I go to Pine Grove. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that real quick after I leave Jolly Roger. So here I have to swim through an octopus tentacle, and luckily his hitboxes are kind of broken on one side, so you can just kind of swim around his face and then directly through his last flailing tentacle here. But still not out of the woods yet. There's some electric eels. There's 2 eels that swim around outside of the last move we need here before getting Clockworks. And if I get hit by one of those eels, there's a chance I could die. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah, dying's usually not good unless, we're trying to die.
Yeah,
But...
usually these eels play just fine, and it looks like I might be good. Oh yeah, I'm fine. They weren't even near me. Sometimes they can swim in all sorts of different ways that are really unpredictable, but they have a hard time turning around. And so it's really easy to just kind of swim over top of them.
So this whole time we were talking about how we're trying to get clockwork eggs. The reason we just got Talon Torpedo is you need Talon Torpedo to get clockwork eggs. So
Yeah. Right now, there's no way to get to Wasteland without blowing up the boulder.
I imagine if that's found, that'll drastically change the
Yeah, if a way to whoops. If there was a way to get into Wasteland early without needing Talon Torpedo, this run would only need 350 notes, and it wouldn't need any moves at all.
It would still need, yeah, but it would still need enough jiggies to get into Witchy World, right?
Yes. Yeah, you would still need 8 jiggies. I don't actually know where the route would go because you still need 350 notes. And that's really hard.
Yeah, so it would be a very different route, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you already get all 100 in Mayhem, or?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I know all 100 of those are very easy to grab, so.
Yeah, we get most of them in Glitter Gulch Mine as well. The only ones we don't get are the Treble Clef because it's on the other side of the level that we don't go to.
So remember Klungo back at the beginning? Well, now we get to fight him again. So because we already got the blue bottle, this one's going to be a green or a red. Which one are we hoping for?
I'm hoping for a green, which is what I got.
Yay!
Yeah, so green is the fastest to get. I would have liked to have green first and blue second. That would have been the most optimal. Normally in runs, it doesn't matter. Hang on, I need to count potions. Normally in runs, it doesn't matter because, I mean, if you hit a wrong clone on blue potion, you can just reset. And there really isn't too much difference. Like, if you get blue potion first, if you get green potion first, if you get blue second, if you get red or green second, they're both about the same because they save the amount of time, like the same amount of time on each one, as long as you get a good push. The only one you don't want is red, because red has a really long cutscene attached to it when Klungo grows and shrinks, and so you just don't want red at all.
Fortunately, we did not get red, so
yeah. Having red in a no reset setting, having red first instead of blue would have been a little bit faster, but in general. Okay, so now we have learned Clockworks, and we have no use to continue playing in the file here. So now we need to load up a cutscene to trigger off of our DCW, and the best way to do that is in Tooie, you have a little menu where you can load up mini games, cutscenes, and bosses. And so we're going to be watching the boss cutscene for the final boss, which is a very long cutscene.
yeah. So, as strange as it sounds, watching this cutscene is very integral to the speeding this game fast. So, we're not just taking a break, although it is a nice time to break, prepare yourself mentally for Hack 1. But this is the way to do the delayed cutscene.
Yeah. The nice thing about Cheeto percent is the Cheeto percent is the category of this game that uses the built-in cheats that you can enter in the code chamber in Mayhem Temple. In Cheeto percent, you only have to watch this cutscene once instead of twice, because in the main menu there's an option to warp to the final cutscene of the game, which takes you to the gun chamber, which is directly below this room after you finish the quiz game. And so in Cheeto percent, all the levels are open already because you have a code to open all the levels. So instead of watching the long cutscene, going back into the game and watching the long cutscene again, you just have to watch the cutscene once because you go down there, you run up, and then and then you're into the boss just once.
The one thing that is a little scary about doing this skip, though, is if you die during Hag 1, that's basically rip run.
Yeah, if I die during Hag 1, then it is 100% over.
Yeah, unless we decide to go on for 2 more hours, but
I mean,
I don't know if Darkman would really like that idea.
yeah. Worst case scenario, if you die to Hag 1, is just do another any percent run. It's faster than getting 70 jiggies.
Yeah. But we're not going to worry about that because GDO knows what he's doing. And we'll
Oh yeah. So when we enter into Fuel Depot, it's gonna start playing the cutscene that would have played if I wouldn't have reset out of Witchy World, and then normally here it would put me back into Witchy World, but the last cutscene I watched was in Cauldron Keep, and so it's putting me there instead.
And so just like that, we go from Glitter Gulch Mine all the way to Hag 1.
Yep, and now we're in the final boss cutscene. You can DCW almost everywhere in the game. Anywhere in the game that has a cutscene that you can watch. So if you're in a file, you can watch a cutscene in a file and then DCW to wherever there, or you can load up anywhere in the main menu. There's a couple places that don't work and that actually soft lock the game, but most of them work. And it's actually it's DCWing is what started bingo. Banjo-Tooie has a pretty active bingo community sometimes. And yeah, DCW really helps with that because it gives you a lot of options.
So an interesting thing about this fight is that it's a boss fight and a quiz show all wrapped in one, but we just kind of ignore the quiz aspect and just back out of the question, which effectively makes it wrong.
Yeah. Something that I was just doing there was something called just grenade quick shotting. Normally you shoot grenade eggs the slowest out of all your eggs, but if you cycle your eggs from fire to grenade at just the right time, Banjo just shoots them really fast. And so that's the most optimal way to deal damage to Grunty in Banjo-Tooie. If we had ice eggs, that would be just as fast because ice eggs are really fast, but it's slow to learn the move because ice eggs have a really long cutscene attached to it, and it's one of the only moves in the game. I think the only move in the game that has a long cutscene on it.
What level did we learn ice eggs in anyway?
Ice eggs are learned on Clifftop, so right before you enter JRL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it wasn't for that cutscene, grabbing them probably would be worth it.
Yeah. All of the moves in the game that you learn other than your egg shots are learned in levels, but all 4 of the egg moves are learned somewhere on the Isle of Hags, which is like your lobby world. Well, we're just looking at the ceiling here to
minimize lag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if this was mentioned. This game is so laggy.
Yeah, Banjo-Tooie runs incredibly slow at some parts, and a lot of them aren't seen here, but a lot of my camera turning and zooming in and out that I've done throughout the run is just to minimize lag. There's a lot of areas in the game where it's really hard to like properly minimize lag, especially in the game's 100% category. There's some areas and some levels that are just really, really terrible.
This is a brutal game where a lot of the time save that really good runners get is very subtle, but it's just minimizing lag techniques.
Yeah, so standing on the ledge here just so the camera's angled a little bit down. The exhaust pipe causes a lot of lag, so don't want to be really looking at it, but I'm going to be looking at it in just a sec. Right before I shoot this clockwork egg.
So this
So-
phase of the fight is the only reason we really need clockwork eggs. So.
Yeah, this is all we needed clockwork eggs for in the run, was to pop them inside the battery, or inside the Hag 1's engine, so we can blow up the 2 batteries here.
It's a shame that the boss fight doesn't automatically give it to you, because if you were immediately given clockwork eggs, that would save so much time.
Yeah. See, Banjo-Tooie is really weird that way, because if the game forces you to do something, then it will automatically give it to you. But if you need to do it manually, it won't. So, like, the move that I needed to learn in order to go into first person at all was not learned this run. I didn't learn that move. Like, to go into, like, the bird shooting mode that I was doing before.
Right, but because the fight automatically puts you into it, then...
Yeah. The game just automatically forces me into it, and so it's like, okay, I guess I'll just put you into it. You're in the boss fight, you must know it. That's the one difference about Cheeto Percent, because remember, in Cheeto Percent, you're not DCWing into the boss fight, and so in order to get into the loading zone, that's where the game checks it. The game checks loading zones for a lot of things, and so if you try and go through the loading zone without the move, you'll be denied, and it's just like you don't have the move to do it. So I have about a minute left. I just have to get through the fight to the death. Her drill is now broken down, and now we just have to dodge her shots. This is the point in the fight where she stops asking you questions. Up until now, she'll ask you a question. If you get it right, she'll shoot you slower, and if you get it wrong, she'll shoot you faster. But at this point in the game, she just stops asking, and all of her shots are fast shots. But not that we needed her to shoot fast anyway.
Like I had said before, it was already short shot or fast shots anyway, because we were just backing out of the question.
Yeah, and so from here on, we're just gonna fire blue eggs at her. There really isn't any way to speed this up because she has to shoot twice, and time is in like 2 seconds. Done. So Grunty drops her spell and
doesn't end well for Grunty.
Yeah. Her plans to get her body back by stealing the Isle of Hag's life force is gone.
Yeah. Well.
That's the story of the game, by the way.
Yeah, the Banjo games, both Kazooie and Tooie, have some strange stories to them.
Yeah. I mean, in Banjo-Kazooie, you know, it's what we were talking about at the beginning, right? Banjo-Tooie has a lot of themes that are like, you kind of look at it and go, huh. I mean, in Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty kidnaps your sister, and so it's a big journey to get her back, right? But in Banjo-Tooie, Gruntilda rises from the rock she's been under at the end of Banjo-Kazooie, and then immediately kills Bottles, and then now you're on a quest for vengeance.
Yeah, so it goes from rescuing your sister to avenging your dead friend, and it's like, well, that's dark. But all is well.
I missed the done, so I went a little bit late, but I think you were around like the 45, 30-ish range, something like that.
I paused, stopped my timer. I was running a timer on myself. It was 45:10 around. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really solid 90% run.
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah, very well done.
Yeah. What was the time you got in the GDQ run you did?
I think my GDQ run was like a 44, 40, high 44-40 something,
Oh,
or 44-50.
So fairly consistent between the two runs.
Yeah. my times I've been getting in the Tooie any percent tournament have been in the 44 range too, but I had a lot of oops moments, like forgetting to get red feathers after on my way to JRL cost me a 44.
Also, you got bad luck with Klungo. You had to do all 3 of the door lock passwords.
Yeah, all 3 of those together were pretty hefty time losses, but Banjo-Tooie is the RNG game, so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Awesome. Any final thoughts, GDO? It was a great run. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having been asked to run any percent for the 1545 showcase. 1545 is going to be really fun. It always has been. Seeing your team kind of claw at the other teams in the relay. So hope everyone who's interested in one of the games, on the Spyro, Crash, Mario, Banjo, DK, learn the game and come on out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all I had to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, GDO, for your run. We really appreciate it. And yeah, this was the last game of the relay. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Faulty and Rob kind of give their closing thoughts. You know, it's been great, but you know, anything we should be aware of? You know, how you enjoyed today? Anything?
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, with the exception of my laptop crashing halfway through Spyro, this was really great, you know. 4 fantastic runners, 4 fantastic games. Not a single major mistake anywhere in the entire 4 games runs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I just want to do a quick shout out, I guess, to our runners again and say what they got. So we had, first up, White Paws running Crash Bandicoot 1. He got a 42-44, a really, really good time overall. Then we had Paracusia doing Super Mario 64 70 star. He got a 50-13, also fantastic, really well done. Then we had Hummelden running Spyro the Dragon, who got a 42-30 with a second try Twilight Harbor skip. Fantastic as well. And of course, just now we had Garage Door Opener running Banjo-Tooie 80% in 45-10. So yeah, thanks everybody who was there for that, and fantastic runs.
So yeah, we wanted to figure out a nice way of showcasing what the 1545 is all about. And while the 1545 itself is a 50-hour marathon, the question was, how do we show this in only a couple of hours while still keeping the feel? So we said, okay, we get any percent runs. Those are a lot shorter. Take 1 from each of the 4 major series, put them together. You got a nice, ended up being just a little over 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm really glad this all worked out.
Yeah, and so like GDO said, our main event is in the summer. What we've got going this year is July 12th to 14th. The 1545, for anybody who hasn't heard over the past course of the stream, is a massive relay of 13 different games hitting the Mario series, the Rareware series, and the Sprashfecta, which is Spyro and Crash series. We play those back to back to back to back. We've got a few teams running at it. Whole weekend, like 50 plus hours of speedruns going constantly. It's pretty great. You can find out more info at 1545.org. Rob just posted our links there, so thanks for that. We're also on Twitter. We post updates whenever we're going live. On Twitch, of course, we stream to the 1545, and you can join us on Discord at discord.1545.org. We've also got what we're calling the Invitational series that we're about 2/3 of the way through, where we're highlighting each individual category that gets run in the race. Specifically, up this next weekend, we have, man, I always forget this. What's coming up this weekend?
This weekend is Spyro 3 117% and Super Mario 64 120 star. I forget which one's on which day. One's on Saturday, one's on Sunday.
I believe Spyro is first on Saturday, and
yeah, that sounds right.
Will be Sunday. So yeah, it should be super exciting. Hopefully, we'll see you all there. Like I said, twitch.tv/the1545 is where that will be at, starting midday Eastern for both of those.
And even if you don't want to run one of the games or anything like that, you're more than welcome to join the Discord just so you know what's going on. We're a very welcoming community. There's a lot of people around who are willing to help you learn any of the 13 games. They can point you, and if you need more specific information, they can point you to Discords that are more focused on a specific game.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just a nice, friendly community that we try to hold. And we've been going 2 years. We're coming on 3, so
yeah.
It's a real exciting time to be a part of the 1545.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Faulty and Rob. Appreciate you having on commentary for this entire relay. So
Mhm.
thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
Definitely a fantastic opportunity to showcase our stuff on here.
Yeah.
So appreciate that.
Absolutely. So with that, we're gonna kind of wrap up things. We're gonna go ahead and transition to the end of the broadcast. Once again, thank you so much for watching the relay. It was a fantastic showcase. And again, if you are interested in knowing more about the 1545, make sure you check out the links that were posted in chat. For those on YouTube, we will have those in the description, so you can check that out. But yeah, thank you so much. Just want to real quick remind everybody that the Hotfix broadcasts are supported thanks in part to your contributions to us. So while we do appreciate very much you watching, spreading the word about our broadcasts, we do very much greatly appreciate the subscriptions and bits that you guys cheer towards us, because those contributions are what help us run these broadcasts, like the relay you saw today. So thank you so much for those contributions. And yeah, just a real quick couple announcements. I want to let everybody know in terms of GDQ things, we have the volunteer schedule for Summer Games Done Quick coming out on the April 30th. So check your emails for that one. We also have prize submissions going on now. Prize submissions for Summer Games Done Quick are happening from now until June. So you can check out the website for more information on how you can contribute a prize to SGDQ. In terms of broadcasts for this week, we have the weekly community choice broadcast that happens on Mondays. So that is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we also have an anniversary broadcast. So we have a Super Mario Land anniversary broadcast on Tuesday. So definitely check that out. But that's pretty much going to do it for us. As we're signing out, we have a raid target. So we are going to go ahead and raid one average Trey. So he's a Sunshine Runner. He's doing a few any percent attempts right now. So we're going to go ahead and give him a host. So thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Darkman78, and we will see you all later.